Chapter 44. In front of the boulder with the word scatter. Mr. Monroe took a deep breath. Nice handwriting, Mr. Monroe said happily. While praising, Mr. Monroe extended his hand and took out a vermilion brush. The brush body was bright red and emitted a faint red light. The brush hair emitted 3 colors of red, purple, and green. Just based on its appearance, it was much better than Yen Chuan's brush. Mr. Monroe, do you want to fight? Yu Shi's eyes lit up. The word do. Young Master Yang revealed a hint of curiosity. Mr. Monroe smiled faintly and said, when the brush lands, there is an aura. The person who wrote this has amazing strokes. I am also curious and excited to see this. Then, Mr. Monroe, hurry up and write. I've only heard of the word do, but I've never seen it before. Yu Shi's curiosity was piqued. Okay. Mr. Monroe nodded. Holding the brush in his right hand, he flipped his left hand slightly, and a small round inkstone appeared in his palm. The inside of the inkstone was filled with red ink. Mr. Monroe dipped the brush in the ink and began to write on Yen Chuan's word, scatter. Fighting character. Yu Shi widened her eyes, as if she was afraid to miss the wonderful details. Young Master Yang also watched curiously. As soon as Mr. Monroe's first stroke landed, bright red smoke suddenly gushed out from the tip of his pen. As soon as the smoke appeared, it collided with the gray aura that originally surrounded it. Whoo! A gentle breeze blew around them. At the tip of the brush, the sound of wind and thunder could be faintly heard as the red and gray chi collided. Stop! The faces of the soldiers changed as they shouted angrily. These words were written by the Lord, and no one can touch them. These uninvited guests were powerful, but they could not stain the name of the Lord. Clang! 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 The 5 generals with high cultivation levels immediately brandished their spears and charged towards the crowd. The spear was pointed straight at the crowd. Kakik, there are still people in this world who aren't afraid of death. The dwarf Ding Wugu immediately sneered. Ta! Ding Wugu stomped his foot, and a large amount of gravel shot towards the 5 young generals. Dang, dang, dang! The gravel collided with the long spear, producing a metallic sound. The huge force forced the 5 young generals to retreat. Bang! Finally, a piece of rock hit a young general's chest. The force of the rock was so great that it instantly created a big hole in the armor of the young general. Who? The young general was sent flying. He rolled 7 or 8 times on the ground before stopping. He struggled to get up and looked at his chest. The silver armor on his chest had been shattered, but there was still a black inner armor on the inside. It was the black inner armor that had blocked the force of the shattered stone. The young general wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked coldly at Ding Wugu. Brothers, the Lord has treated us well. He prepared meat for us and even gave us the skin of a demon snake to make inner armor. Now, someone is tainting the name of the Lord. Can we retreat? The young general shouted. No! The 3,000 soldiers roared in unison. Kill! The young general took advantage of the situation and roared. Roar! The 3,000 soldiers roared. The long arrow shot out again, heading straight for Ding Wugu. The long spear was raised and aimed straight at Ding Wugu. Humph! Ding Wugu's face darkened. A small black ball suddenly appeared in his hand. Ding Wugu fiercely threw himself to the ground. Boom! The small ball exploded, and a large amount of black gas enveloped Ding Wugu. The black gas expanded and formed a wall of gas, instantly blocking the 2,000 sharp arrows. However, it was not as easy as Qin Long previously. The 2,000 arrows rained down. A group of ants. Ding Wugu said disdainfully. In the black gas, Ding Wugu waved his hand fiercely. Chapter 45. Whoosh! Like a storm, the 3,000 soldiers were knocked to the ground in an instant. Ha ha ha, how refreshing! It's your good fortune that you ants can see my feng shui technique. Ding Wugu said with a sinister expression. It was as if bullying these mortals made Ding Wugu feel a sense of comfort that he had never felt before. Perhaps his dwarf body had been looked down upon for a long time, causing him to feel a strange perversion. Get into formation and fight again, a few of the young generals shouted. Roar! A group of soldiers immediately responded and raised their spears to fight again. Ding Wugu alone enjoyed the feeling of being superior. On the other side, Mr. Monroe's brush continued to move. Stroke by stroke, he wrote the word scatter. The red and gray smoke around him stirred into a ball. Bursts of rumbling sounds came from the smoke as if they were attacking each other. Mr. Monroe wrote the word assemble ? Mr. Yang frowned. Scatter and assemble are opposite. The two words overlap and clash. Yushi, the saintess, watched attentively. For the word fight, Yushi said again. The winner will suppress the other side until the other side completely disappears. She hadn't finished writing the word assemble. Crack, 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 crack. The boulder on which the words were written couldn't withstand the collision of the two words, and cracks appeared on it. Assemble. Stroke by stroke, the red smoke became stronger and stronger. The boulder was surrounded by red and gray smoke. Everyone was shrouded in it except for Ding Wugu, who was fighting with the Silver Armor Army happily outside the smoke. The last stroke. Mr. Monroe's expression was extremely solemn. He waved the brush and wrote the last stroke of the word assemble. Boom! The red smoke rose again. In the smoke, the two words scatter and assemble overlapped. The two words appeared and disappeared, sometimes red and sometimes gray. Waves of overwhelming aura emanated from them. The boulder that carried the two words cracked more and more. Mr. Monroe held the brush and stared, his eyes full of anticipation. Not only Mr. Monroe, but everyone shrouded in smoke also stared at the two words. Scatter. Assemble. Fight? Who would win? Who could suppress the other? Outside. Ding Wugu was shrouded in black qi. With a wave of his hand, a gust of wind blew. The soldiers around him were no match for him, but the arrows that were shot over annoyed Ding Wugu. Humph, a bunch of ants. Today, I'll let you know what a celestial spell is. Ding Wugu said coldly. He pointed his finger at the few young generals who were charging at the front. Immediately, 5 streams of black qi rushed towards them. Bang! Bang! The complexions of the 5 young generals immediately darkened. In the blink of an eye, their complexions became incomparably dark. Their bodies went limp as if they had been poisoned. Ha ha ha, you want to fight me? You're courting death. Look at my feng shui formation. Die! As Ding Wugu laughed sinisterly, he waved his hand again and nearly 100 streaks of black qi swept towards the Silver Armor Army. The black gas was so thick that anyone who touched it would fall. At this moment, the 100 bolts were even more ferocious than the 5 bolts from before. They were aimed directly at the 100 silver armor soldiers at the very front. Die for me! Ding Wugu sneered. At this moment, an angry snort suddenly came from the nearby forest shrouded in white fog. Humph, who dares to kill my people? Yen Chuan's angry roar could be heard. Boom! A hurricane suddenly gushed out of the forest. Endless white fog instantly rushed out of the forest and shrouded the entire military camp in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, the entire military camp was covered in white fog. The 100 streaks of black qi that Ding Wugu had shot out were instantly dispersed by the white fog. The white fog passed through, making it so that one couldn't even see their own fingers. The black qi around Ding Wugu quickly faded away. Chapter 46. Ha! Ding Wugu's expression changed. But in the next moment, Ding Wugu found that everything around him had changed. Ding Wugu saw a vast sea of blood, and the world was blood red. In the sea of blood, countless evil spirits were surging. Woo! Ah! Gah! Gah! The countless evil spirits in the sea of blood surrounded Ding Wugu and pounced on him. Illusion. Illusion array. Ding Wugu's expression changed. Break! Ding Wugu exclaimed. He formed a spell with his hand. However, Ding Wugu's hand could not break it. How is this possible? Ding Wugu exclaimed. A feng shui master in the essence state? Humph! In the forest, Yan Chuan's voice was heard again. In the illusion, Ding Wugu saw more and more evil spirits pouncing on him. Ah! Squeak! The evil spirits were ferocious. They bit off a piece of flesh from Ding Wugu. Thousands of evil spirits bit Ding Wugu, and his flesh was instantly mangled. Although Ding Wugu knew that it was an illusion, he still screamed in shock. No! Ding Wugu exclaimed. On the other side, the two words disperse and assemble were fighting. Boom! The two words collided with each other. The boulder finally could not withstand the two words and exploded. After the boulder exploded, the two words only stayed for a while. Suddenly, they cancelled each other out and disappeared. A draw. The Saintess Yushi was surprised. She was surprised that someone's handwriting could be compared to Mr. Monroe's. Was it written by that young man? Unfortunately, this stone is too bad. The battle did not end at all. Mr. Yang said with a hint of regret. Only Mr. Monroe showed a hint of bitterness. Stone? It had nothing to do with the stone. In the end, the two words cancelled each other out. It should be the draw that Yushi said. However, Mr. Wenrua knew that it was not a draw. He had lost. He had used the vermilion chalcedony to write, while his opponent had used the worst black ink. Using the worst black ink to fight against his vermilion chalcedony, even if it was a draw, he had lost. What a powerful word! Mr. Monroe exclaimed the word disperse. No! Not far away, Ding Wugu's pained howl could be heard. Ha! Everyone suddenly realized that something was wrong with their surroundings. Endless white fog. White mist. It's a formation. Feng shui array. Yushi was surprised. Disperse. Yushi's subordinate, Qing Long, shouted loudly. Boom. Qing Long's body seemed to be a source of wind, and a violent gale blew in all directions. Sand and pebbles flew in all directions. A powerful aura violently dispersed the surrounding white fog in an instant. The great array shrouded in white fog was broken by Qing Long. After the formation was broken, the surrounding scenery was revealed. In the distance, a large number of injured soldiers were lying on the ground, and not far away, Ding Wugu was restrained by two people. One of them was dressed in eunuch robes, and his horsetail whisk was wrapped around Ding Wugu's neck. The other was a general in silver armor, and the tip of his spear was thrust into Ding Wugu's mouth, aiming straight for his throat. As long as the silver-armored general moved, the long spear would definitely pierce through Ding Wugu's throat. Everyone was stunned. This was because Ding Wugu's cultivation level was in the mastery realm, and the people restraining him were two mortals in the strength realm. Mortals in the strength realm? Moreover, it was a complete suppression. A strength realm cultivator restraining a mastery realm cultivator. After the formation was broken, the surrounding environment disappeared, and Ding Wugu could see everything clearly. However, the tip of the spear in his throat was emitting cold air. Even though Ding Wugu's strength was still the same, he did not dare to move an inch. This was because his life was on the line, and his life was in the hands of his opponents. Strength realm. Only in the strength realm. Qing Long's face was filled with disbelief. Everyone, may I know what is the meaning of injuring my subordinates, destroying my formation, and breaking my tablet? Yan Chuan's voice came from the direction of the bamboo forest. Yan Chuan slowly stepped out from the edge of the bamboo forest. He frowned and looked at the group of uninvited guests. Chapter 47. Yan Chuan's voice came from the direction of the bamboo forest. Everyone, may I know why you have injured my subordinates, destroyed my formation, and shattered my steels? Yen Chuan slowly stepped out from the edge of the bamboo forest. He frowned and looked at the group of uninvited guests. Woo woo! Ding Wugu had a gun in his mouth as he cried for help. Screech! In the sky, the red-crowned crane flapped its wings and landed beside the young girl. Yen Chuan's expression changed as he recognized the crane immediately. However, Yen Chuan continued to stare at the crowd and did not relax at all. I am Fong Ruo. When I saw the words on the stone tablet, I got excited and broke it. I'm very sorry. Mr. Monroe said solemnly. The word scatter had already dispelled Mr. Monroe's arrogance. Because of this, his tone was still considered polite. My name is Mo Yushi. Saintess Yushi looked at Yen Chuan curiously. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Kid, who are you? Also, why haven't you quickly released Ding Wugu? Young Master Yang said with his head held high. Yen Chuan looked at everyone, but he did not let Huguang release Ding Wugu. My name is Yen Chuan. Why have you all come here without informing me? Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Yen Chuan. Your surname is Yen. Mo Yushi's eyes brightened. Yen Chuan frowned slightly. That day, I saw that you were familiar with the people from the Dai sect. How is Yen Tao from the Dai sect related to you? Mo Yushi asked. Yen Tao. Mr. Monroe was slightly taken aback. Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes at Mo Yushi. It's my father. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Father? No wonder, no wonder. Like father, like son. It is indeed true that Yen Tao fought alone at the Heavenly Bestowment Conference and stood proudly among the heroes. At that time, Wenrua was fortunate enough to meet Yen Tao. Wenrua admired very few people in her life, but Yen Tao was one of them. So he is the descendant of Yen Tao. Mr. Monroe exclaimed. I will compensate you for all your losses. I wonder if you can release Ding Wugu. Mo Yushi smiled. Yen Chuan looked at Mo Yushi in silence. Yen Chuan could feel Mo Yushi's goodwill. After all, with her subordinate who had just broken the array, it should not be difficult for her to save the dwarf. However, she did not do so. Clearly, she did not want to become enemies. Of course, the reason why he didn't let Huguang kill the midget earlier was because he didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Yen Chuan nodded lightly and waved at Huguang. Yes. Huguang and Lu Jin immediately responded from afar. Whoosh! The spear was pulled out of Ding Wugu's mouth. Huguang and Lu Jin immediately retreated. Ayayaya, bastards, I want you all dead. Ding Wugu was furious when he regained his freedom. He took out a black ball insolently and was about to attack again. Ding Wugu. Mo Yushi rebuked coldly. In the distance, Ding Wugu shuddered and immediately turned his head. Holy lady, they humiliated me. I want them dead, I want them dead. Ding Wugu said with hatred. How dare you? Qing Long shouted angrily. A fierce aura rushed toward Ding Wugu. Ding Wugu trembled all over. After a shudder, he calmed down a lot. Ding Wugu looked at the soldiers with hatred. He tried hard to take a few deep breaths to calm himself down. Yes. I will obey Holy Lady's orders. Ding Wugu said unwillingly. Mo Yushi nodded and did not look at him anymore. However, Ding Wugu looked at the soldiers with a gloomy expression. Chapter 48. Lord, they can't hold on much longer. Huguang shouted from afar. The soldiers clutched their wounds and surrounded 5 of the young generals. They had been poisoned by Ding Wugu's black energy. Their bodies were black and they trembled. Yen Chuan raised an eyebrow. Mo Yushi, fulfill your promise. Yen Chuan knew a bit about feng shui, but his cultivation was too low. He couldn't cure the poison. Ding Wugu, cure them. Mo Yushi called out to the dwarf. I don't understand. I've suffered great humiliation, but I won't pursue the matter because of the holy maiden's words. You want me to save them? Don't even think about it. Ding Wugu said sinisterly. Ding Wugu. Mo Yushi said coldly. Holy maiden, I'm not your subordinate. You still need to rely on me to enter the feng shui formation. Are you going to ignore my feelings for a few ants? I won't save them over my dead body. Ding Wugu said coldly. Ding Wugu looked coldly at Yan Chuan with disdain. He still needed a feng shui master to enter the feng shui formation. Ding Wugu believed that Mo Yushi couldn't do anything to him. Mo Yushi frowned, then sighed. Qing Long, go take a look and see if there's a way to save them. Mo Yushi said with a frown. Mo Yushi's words made her stance clear. She would rather offend Yan Chuan than Ding Wugu at this critical juncture. Yan Chuan didn't say anything. He walked over to check on the 5 young generals. Qing Long poured a beam of green light into one of the young generals. However, the young general only trembled, his face still black. Holy maiden. Qing Long shook his head, indicating that he couldn't cure the poison. It's useless. This is feng shui evil poison. It has already entered the heart meridian. You don't understand feng shui, so you can't cure it. Ding Wugu said to Qing Long in disdain. Lord. The soldiers saluted Yan Chuan as he walked over. These 5 young generals had died for the sake of protecting Yan Chuan. Naturally, Yan Chuan would not leave them be. He stretched out his hand and Lu Jin immediately handed him the emerald jade brush. He handed over the inkstone. He dipped the brush in ink. Yan Chuan quickly wrote on the foreheads of the 5 people. Mr. Monroe's eyes lit up when he saw the jade brush. This money? Mr. Monroe shook his head. It's impossible to write such domineering words with such poor handwriting. Yan Chuan ignored him and quickly wrote on the 5 people's foreheads. As soon as the brush was drawn, a breeze suddenly blew in the surroundings. Bursts of green light suddenly appeared and slowly flowed into the bodies of the 5 people. Clear. Clear. He wrote 5 characters in a row. Bursts of green light enveloped the 5 poisoned people. He really wrote this? So it's really his handwriting. Mr. Monroe exclaimed from afar. As he exclaimed, Mr. Monroe's face showed a moment of bitterness. Looking at the young man's back, Mr. Monroe felt that all his previous calligraphy practice had gone to waste. Mr. Yang looked at Yan Chuan with jealousy and said, handwriting? It's just a small trick. Ding Wugu also looked at him with hatred. Lord, will they be okay? Hua Guang asked worriedly. Yan Chuan handed the brush to Lu Jin. He took a deep breath and said, I'm not sure. It's up to fate. My handwriting can only disperse a part of the evil poison. The rest is up to them. Guard this place and don't touch their bodies. Yes. The silver armor soldiers answered. Hua Guang, stay here and check on everyone's injuries. Yan Chuan looked at Hua Guang. Chapter 49. Yes. Hua Guang replied. It was not only to heal their injuries, but also to stabilize their morale. Hua Guang instantly understood. Yan Chuan stood up and led Lu Jin toward the crowd again. Everyone, let's talk in my humble abode. Yan Chuan said to Mo Yushi and the others. Okay. Mo Yushi nodded. Mr. Monroe looked at Yan Chuan with shame. Child Yang was disdainful, while Ding Wugu was resentful. Little crane, have fun by yourself. Come find me later. Mo Yushi said to the crane. Screech. The crane nodded, flapped its wings, and soared into the sky. The crowd followed Yan Chuan into the bamboo forest and soon arrived at a bamboo house. The bamboo house was surrounded by white fog again. The array that Qing Long had broken was slowly restored. In the bamboo house, Yan Chuan sat in the main seat. Mr. Monroe, Child Yang, Ding Wugu, and Mo Yushi were seated. Mo Yushi's 4 subordinates stood behind Mo Yushi. A group of servants quickly served tea. "Everyone, please," Yan Chuan said politely. The crowd nodded. Child Yang took a sip. "Pfft! What kind of lousy tea is this?" Child Yang spat out the tea. "Pfft! Yeah, what the hell is this? It's worse than the water I use to wash my feet." Ding Wugu spat out the tea and cursed. Yan Chuan glanced at the two of them. His expression did not change. He did not reply. Lu Jin stood beside Yan Chuan. Her expression was terrible. Mo Yushi raised her eyebrows slightly but did not say anything. Only Mr. Monroe said apologetically, "This is Yang Zigu, the son of Mohina Dojin." The one who had a misunderstanding earlier was Ding Wugu, a geomancer. The son of a Tao lord. Yan Chuan's expression changed slightly, and then he nodded gently. Yang Zigu looked down at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan looked at Mr. Monroe and said, "You didn't come here just for my calligraphy, did you? What is your purpose? Please tell me." If people respect Yan Chuan 1 foot, Yan Chuan will respect him 10 feet. Yan Chuan was still polite to Mr. Monroe. "Before that, I'd like to ask if you've set up a feng shui formation around this forest?" Mr. Monroe asked curiously. "That's right. It's just a simple feng shui formation. It's not very powerful." Yan Chuan did not refute. "Impossible. This can't be a feng shui formation. Why can't I feel the source of feng shui?" Ding Wugu shouted in disbelief. Yan Chuan looked at Ding Wugu and ignored him. "Can you explain to me?" Mr. Monroe asked curiously. Yan Chuan nodded and said, "This formation is a hidden formation. The source of feng shui is deep underground, not outside. Only a real geomancer can sense it." "Kid, what are you saying? Are you saying that I'm a fake geomancer?" Ding Wugu shouted angrily. Yan Chuan smiled faintly and ignored him. "Kid, explain it to me," Ding Wugu said angrily. "Ding Wugu." Mo Yushi said impatiently. Ding Wugu was helpless. He could only stare at Yan Chuan. "Here's the thing. We want to enter the large feng shui formation in the south. But these days, we can't fly in. So, we want to go in by foot. So, I hope that we can find a guide nearby. The saint said that you know a little about feng shui." "That's great. So, please lead the way," Mr. Monroe said. Chapter 50. Lead the way. Into the large feng shui formation in the south? Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes. "What? You don't want to?" Yang Zigu said coldly. Yan Chuan fell silent, his fingers stroking the armrest of his chair. "You should be familiar with feng shui since you can recognize the dragon vein. As long as you lead us in, I'll give you whatever you want." Mo Yushi said. Looking at the crowd, Yan Chuan took a deep breath and nodded his head, "Sure." "Lord!" Lu Jin exclaimed. The Forbidden Forest was a land of death. How could they go in? There's no need to say anything. I have my own plans. Yan Chuan shook his head. "Yes," Lu Jin said with an ugly expression. "I think we're not the only ones entering the large feng shui formation." Yan Chuan said. "That's right. On the 9th day of the 9th month, the 9 stars align and a large amount of energy from the netherworld rushes into the mortal realm. The feng shui formation connects the 2 realms, and this place is the first to bear the brunt of the energy. Since no one is controlling the feng shui formation, it's bound to be shattered. Many sects have come here. Everyone wants to get what's inside." Mo Yushi nodded. "Oh? What's inside?" Yan Chuan was puzzled. "Kid, it's not something you can get your hands on. Just lead the way," Yang Zigu said disdainfully. Yan Chuan smiled. "I can lead the way for you, but I have a condition. Oh? Mo she looked at Yan Chuan with a smile. I want to lead the army in. Along the way, other than the ones you want to eat, any beast or monster you encounter will be eaten by my people. Yan Chuan said solemnly. You'll be eaten to death. Yang Zigu said disdainfully. Low-level demonic beasts are useless to us. You can have them. Mo she smiled. Everyone, please rest for the night. I'll go check on my subordinate's injuries. We'll set off tomorrow morning. Is that all right? Yan Chuan asked. Yes. Everyone nodded. Lu Jin, arrange a bamboo house for everyone. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Lu Jin replied. After arranging the bamboo house, Lu Jin followed Yan Chuan back to the barracks. A mortal bringing thousands of mortals with him? He's crazy. Yang Zigu said disdainfully. It's good to bring more people. The feng shui formation is abnormally dangerous. These thousands of people can be used to scout the way to their deaths. Ding Wugu said with a cold look in his eyes. That's true. It won't be a pity if these mortals die anyway. Yang Ziga laughed. Mr. Monroe, what do you think of this Yan Chuan? Mo Yushi's eyes flashed. He's neither humble nor arrogant. He's extraordinary. Mr. Monroe nodded. Then, do you think he's qualified to be my attendant? Mo Yushi smiled. Him? Yang Zigu said disdainfully. Mr. Monroe frowned and said, the saint's attendant can only be loyal to the saint for the rest of his life. But from what I see, although this person looks calm on the surface, he's arrogant. It's hard for him to be willing to be under someone for a long time. I like people with arrogance. I want to see how capable he is. If it's really what I think it is, I don't mind putting in more effort. My men must be dragons among men. Mo Yushi said confidently. Yushi, you're wrong. He's just a mortal. He's only in the strength state. Yang Zigu immediately objected. Ding Wugu looked at Yan Chuan's back from afar. His eyes were filled with jealousy and resentment. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly. Although he admired Yan Chuan's father, it was not appropriate for him to say anything at this moment. At the military camp, the soldiers were resting and healing their wounds. They were protecting the 5 poisoned young generals in the center. Out of the 5 young generals, 3 of them woke up. The black chi on their faces was slowly fading away. The pupils of the other 2 were getting bigger and bigger. Until there was no more sound. Ernyo! De Xuanzi! The soldiers cried out in grief. Lord! Hua Guang rubbed his red eyes. He gritted his teeth and looked at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan looked at the 2 dead young generals. His face was cold and his eyes were filled with hostility. Lord, Ernyo and De Xuanzi died in vain. That murderer, that murderer! Hua Guang clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. If they died on the battlefield, Hua Guang would not be so emotional. That was the duty of a soldier. But now, they died for no reason. The murderer was here, but he could not take revenge. How could the soldiers not be angry and resentful? Give them a proper burial. Yan Chuan ordered coldly. Yes. The soldiers said with red eyes. This is not over. There will be plenty of time. Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold. A trace of killing intent shot out from his eyes. Hua Guang quivered. He looked at Yan Chuan gratefully and said, yes. The soldiers did not say anything more. Yan Chuan's killing intent had said everything. Chapter 51. Evening. Yan Chuan was still in the barracks. A large number of guards stood outside the commander-in-chief's tent. Inside, Yan Chuan looked at Hua Guang and Lu Jin. Tomorrow morning, we will depart for the large feng shui formation. There are countless illusions in the feng shui formation. The higher your cultivation, the further you can go. Most of the time, it depends on your temperament. I will teach you a set of hand seals. Tonight, you must ensure that everyone learns it. Yan Chuan said seriously. Hand seals? Hu Guang and Lu Jin's eyes lit up. Yes. Hu Guang said excitedly. This set of hand seals is called Akalanatha hand seal. There are a total of 14 hand seals. It can be used to achieve calmness amidst confusion and be as immovable as a mountain. Yan Chuan explained. Yes. The 14 hand seals are Solitary Cobalt hand seal, Treasure Mountain hand seal, Head seal, Eye seal, Mouth seal, Heart seal, Armor seal, Sheetsi Swift hand seal, Flame seal, Flaming Will seal, Shang Luo seal, Sword seal, Sua seal, and Tri-Cobalt Diamond seal. Yan Chuan used both hands to create the 14 hand seals for Hu Guang to learn. The 14 hand seals were easy to learn. In less than an hour, Hu Guang had memorized all of them. Lord, this Akalanatha hand seal, why does it look like? Hu Guang said with a frown. What? Yan Chuan was puzzled. Is it useful to just make a gesture like this? Hu Guang asked the question in his heart. Hu Guang was disappointed. He thought it was some powerful magic, but after half a day, all he could do was make strange gestures. It's normal that you can't see through it. This hand seal is a rare hand seal in the cultivation world. Those with supernatural powers can use this seal to move mountains and rivers and kill demons. You're only in the strength state now, so of course you can't use its power. However, it's still easy to use it to guard your soul and not move your body. Moreover, it will definitely be of great use in the feng shui array. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Yes. Hu Guang replied with a solemn expression. There's also a 10-word incantation. Remember it well. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Southern Samando Ba Jaluo de Valiant. Yan Chuan recited. Nan Imo San Manduo Ba Jaluo de Valiant. That's right. You have one night. You want the entire army to learn it. Don't practice along the way. Do your best to keep it a secret. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. This subordinate will definitely let the entire army learn. Hu Guang said solemnly. Lord. A voice came from outside the tent. What's the matter? Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. The people from the celestial sect request an audience. Oh? Yan Chuan was slightly surprised as he walked out. Outside the tent was Mo Yushi's subordinate in black. Qing Long was slightly muscular. He looked extremely capable. Young Master Yan, the Holy Maiden has asked me to give you this as a form of compensation. Azure Dragon said as he handed over a small jade bottle. Hu Guang and the surrounding soldiers looked at Qing Long with an unfriendly expression. However, Yan Chuan was able to keep his composure. He reached out and took the bottle. Without looking at it, he said to Qing Long, "Then I thank your saint." Qing Long nodded and left. Lord, we don't need their hypocrisy. Hu Guang said hatefully. Looking at Hu Guang, Yan Chuan smiled with satisfaction. Yan Chuan admired Hu Guang's pride. The grudge is in my heart. I won't forget it. Moreover, I haven't taken my revenge yet. Yan Chuan comforted him. Yes. Hu Guang could only nod. He opened the small jade bottle. There was a green pill inside. Essence boosting pill. Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes. Lord, what's an essence boosting pill? Lu Jin asked curiously. Chapter 52. Once a person consumes the strength state, they can reach the essence state. Although it's only suitable for mortals in the strength state, it's more valuable than many high-grade pills, Yan Chuan said. Consumes the strength state and can reach the essence state? Lu Jin said in surprise. Hu Guang's eyes lit up as he looked at the pill. Keep it. This pill is no small matter. I didn't expect Imo Yushi to be so generous. Everything is valuable, so there must be something she wants. Looks like we have to be more careful from now on. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Everyone replied. Screech. The crane let out a long cry and carried Imo Yushi into the sky. It flew towards a white cloud not far away. On the white cloud was a white boat. The crane landed on the boat. Imo Yushi also jumped onto the boat. On the boat, Qing Long and the other 3 subordinates stood respectfully. Mr. Monroe, Yang Zigu, and Ding Wugu looked down. Below them was a forest. A group of silver armor guards was patrolling the forest. A large palanquin carried Yan Chuan forward slowly. This guy really knows how to enjoy life. He needs a palanquin to carry him as a guide? Yang Zigu looked at Yan Chuan, who was enjoying himself. That's right. He thinks so highly of himself. Ding Wugu looked down coldly. Mr. Monroe didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Imo Yushi and said, Holy Maiden, did you see it clearly this time? That's right. I've been walking around for the past few days. This is a circular feng shui formation. Also, there's an entrance in front. Imo Yushi nodded. Then let's go through this entrance. We can't go through the entrance in the southwest. We almost didn't make it out last time. Luckily, Yushi helped us. Yang Zigu said immediately. The silver armor guards have stopped? Mr. Monroe's expression changed. Let's go down. Imo Yushi said. Yes. Everyone nodded. Little crane, go catch 2 demonic beasts for them. Imo Yushi said to the immortal crane. Screech. The red-crowned crane flapped its wings and flew away. What's the point of catching demonic beasts for them? Ding Wugu said unhappily. We're about to enter the array. These people are all sent to their deaths. Ding Wugu, what are you worried about? Yang Zhijiu laughed. Let them die with their stomachs full. That's true, ha ha ha. Ding Wugu said happily. Imo Yushi and Mr. Monroe didn't say anything. Yang Zigu has a powerful father, and Ding Wugu knows feng shui. After entering the array, it will be useful. Below them was a huge valley. Yan Chuan walked out of the palanquin. In front of him was a wall of clouds. However, there was a crack in the wall. Looking through the crack, it was extremely dark and gloomy. Lord, I've checked this area before. There's no crack like this. Hua Guang frowned. One layer of the array has been broken because of the alignment of 9 stars. We can enter now. You don't have to worry about that. Arrange for the soldiers to eat first. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Hua Guang replied. Why did you stop? It's been 3 days. Is this how you act as a guide? An unpleasant voice was heard. It was Ding Wugu, who had landed in the sky. He looked disgusted. Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He turned to Imo Yushi and said, Miss Imo, have you checked the surrounding terrain? I flew around. It's a circular array with 8 entrances. Imo Yushi nodded. Chapter 53. Oh? Can you draw it? Yan Chuan asked solemnly. Imo Yushi drew a circle on the ground with a branch. She pointed at 8 spots in the circle. Yan Chuan stared at the simple diagram and studied it carefully. Screech! A crane let out a long cry in the sky. Bam! Bam! 2 giant snakes fell from the sky. Each of them was 40 feet long. However, there was a large hole in each snake's body. It was dripping with blood. The crane had eaten the snake's heart. The snakes writhed in pain. They did not want to die just like that. Demon beasts? Lu Jin's expression changed. We're about to enter the array. This is a side dish for you. Imo Yushi smiled. Yan Chuan frowned slightly. He shook his head and said, "We can't enter the array from here." "Can't? What did you say?" Ding Wugu's eyes widened. "We can enter from here. However, with our cultivation, we'll be sending ourselves to our deaths." Yan Chuan shook his head. "You're not going to leave now? Do you think it's that easy?" Ding Wugu said disdainfully. Mou Shi and the others frowned. Yan Chuan smiled coldly and said, "Aren't you a feng shui master? Can't you see the outer array? Can't you see the 8 entrances?" "You?" "I'm not a feng shui master. I've studied feng shui for 50 years. Can't I compare to a brat like you? My body is pure yin. It's the best body for distinguishing feng shui. I can sense things that you can't. What right do you have to criticize me? What kind of body is that? How can it compare to mine?" Ding Wugu said hatefully. "Humph. Last time, Miss Mo left in a hurry to save you, right? Which entrance did she enter?" Yan Chuan looked at Mou Shi. "This one." Mou Shi pointed at one of the entrances. "Chen position. I guessed so too. Did we encounter a horse demon that was as hot as the sun inside? The horseman stepped on the yellow springs and destroyed heaven and earth." Yan Chuan said calmly. "Horse demon?" Yang Zigu's expression changed. Ding Wugu's eyebrows twitched as he stared at Yan Chuan in bewilderment. "Mr. Yang, it seems that your subordinates died under the hooves of the horses, right?" Mr. Monroe asked curiously. Yang Zigu nodded with a gloomy face. "Oh, Prince Yan, you recognize this formation?" Mou Yushi's eyes lit up. Yan Chuan looked at Ding Wugu and said with a faint smile, "This is the most basic of feng shui arrays. Anyone who is involved in feng shui arrays should have heard of it." "Humph." Ding Wugu snorted. "Oh? What is this?" Mr. Monroe asked curiously. "This outer formation is called 8 Fiends Yellow Springs," Yan Chuan said solemnly. 8 Evils Underworld? I've heard of it before. The Ken Dragon and the Kun Rabbit shake the mountain monkeys, the Sun Chicken and the Qian Horse fight the head of the snake, the Gen Tiger leaves the pig and becomes the Fiend Star. If you are not prepared, you will die. Mr. Monroe's eyes lit up. So Mr. Monroe knows feng shui too. Yan Chuan smiled. How would I know? Cultivating feng shui focuses on one's physique and rebirth. If you do not have a specific physique, you will not be able to comprehend it no matter how many books you have. I've only read about it in the past. This is the first time I've seen it. Mr. Monroe smiled. 8 Evils Underworld, it's the 8 Evils Underworld. Ding Wugu's face was gloomy as he looked at Yan Chuan with hatred. Are we really not allowed to enter this place? Yang Zigu asked with a frown. Mr. Monroe looked at Yang Zigu and nodded. According to the positioning of the 8 Evils Underworld, it is indeed extremely dangerous to enter from here. This is the Ken position, where there is the Yellow Springs Dragon Demon. The Yellow Springs Horse Demon you encountered last time was already dangerous enough. What do you think if you encounter the Yellow Springs Dragon Demon? Yang Zigu was speechless. If they encountered a horse, they almost got themselves killed. If they encountered a dragon, they would, then we'll have to take a big detour. Mou Yushi frowned. For safety's sake, we have to take a detour. Take the Kun position. Rabbits are much more docile after all. The Yellow Springs Rabbit Demon should not be so domineering. Yan Chuan said with certainty. 8 Evils Underworld? Okay. I'll listen to you. Mou Yushi finally decided. Chapter 54. Outer Formation, 8 Bane's Yellow Springs. After Mr. Monroe confirmed it, Ding Wugu stopped talking. After confirming the route, Yan Chuan no longer paid attention to the crowd. Instead, he helped the silver-armored army to take care of the 2 demonic snakes that were about to die. Although Yan Chuan did not do anything, his experience was more important than anything else. With just a few pointers, the demonic snakes were completely dead. Not too far away, Mou she took out a folding fan and gently fanned it. Looking at Yan Chuan in the distance, her eyes gradually narrowed, and at the same time, grew brighter and brighter. This was because Mou she felt that although Yan Chuan did not have Ding Wugu's physique, his understanding of feng shui was not inferior to Ding Wugu's. Mr. Monroe, it seems like I was right. Mou she laughed. Saintess, you've always had a good eye. But let's wait until we get the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly. Alright, I'm looking forward to meeting this Yan Chuan. Mou she nodded. Little crane, catch 2 demonic beasts for them every day. Mou she said to the immortal crane beside her. Screech! The red-crowned crane flapped its wings in response. From the side, Ding Wugu glared at Yan Chuan in the distance with resentment. Yang Zigu frowned as he looked at Mou she. At the same time, he glared at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan did not hide the meat of the demonic beasts. All the soldiers had a mouthful of demonic beast soup to drink, but the amount was limited after all. Only 200 soldiers were the first to eat. After eating the meat of the demonic beasts, the cultivation of the low-level soldiers naturally improved by leaps and bounds. With the demon snake's blood, they could attract a large number of wild beasts like before. Therefore, the soldiers never stopped eating meat. Another 10 days passed. Ha! Hua Guang gave a loud shout, as the long spear in his hand struck a huge boulder. Boom! The boulder exploded. Lord, your subordinate has reached LV8 of the power realm, Hua Guang said excitedly. Yan Chuan nodded with satisfaction. During these 10 days, there were people who made breakthroughs one after another. Among the 3,000 soldiers, more than 100 of them were at LV5 of the power realm. And it was still increasing every day. At the peak of a mountain not far away, Yang Zigu stood with his hands behind his back, looking down at the silver-armored army. Ding Wugu stood at the side. 8th level of the power realm. Humph, a bunch of country bumpkins. Yang Zigu said disdainfully. Strength state. Yang Zigu really didn't care about this level of cultivation. That's right. They're just a bunch of trash. Ding Wugu also said resentfully. Ding Wugu. Yang Zigu suddenly said solemnly. Yang Zigu looked at the barracks in the distance and said in a deep voice, Ding Wugu, you must get the thing inside the feng shui formation for me. Don't worry, young Master Yang. That million wonders lotus will be ours. Who can take it from us? Mohina Dojin ordered me to do it himself. Ding Wugu said immediately. No. You don't understand what I mean. Yang Zigu shook his head. Oh? What I mean is, let me get it, just me. Not Saintess Yushi. Yang Zigu said in a deep voice. Ha! Mo Yushi wants to get the Million Wonders Lotus to return a favor to my father. I can't let her return it. I want her to owe me, forever. Yang Zigu said with a cold smile. A favor? Ding Wugu was stunned. Don't worry about that. We're outside the formation, so let Yan Chuan do whatever he wants. Once we're inside, we'll need someone like you who has a feng shui constitution. So, once we're inside, do your best to help me get the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. If you succeed, I'll ask my father to let you in. Yang Zigu promised. Chapter 55. Ding Wugu's eyes lit up. Yes, Mr. Yang. I will do my best. They circled around for another month. The army finally arrived at the Kun position of the Feng Shui array, which was southwest of the array. On a boat in the clouds. After wasting so much time, you mortals are all trash. Yang Zhijiu scolded Yan Chuan's army. The sooner we enter the array, the better. Mr. Monroe shook his head and smiled. Alright, we're here. Let's go in. Yang Zigu said. Ha! There's an army over there. Mo Yushi was taken aback. Everyone looked over. Not far from Yan Chuan's army, there were 2,000 soldiers of the Green Scarf Army. Yan Chuan, Hua Guang, and Lu Jin were facing off against the enemy's generals. Below, to Yan Chuan's left was the same huge sea of clouds, but there was also a 50-meter wide black gap. In front of Yan Chuan, there were 7 generals. The one in the lead was very burly. There was a 3-inch long scar on the left side of his face that looked like a centipede. Lord, that's Zhao Kunwu from the Zhao family. Zhao Tianda's 16th uncle. Lu Jin whispered. Zhao Kunwu glared at Yan Chuan. His eyes were cold. Because not long ago, Zhao Tianda was ordered by him to collude with the Great Qing State's consecrator to assassinate Yan Chuan. Since Zhao Tianda is dead, Yan Chuan must be the murderer. Zhao Kunwu, why don't you bow to me? Yan Chuan said lightly. Bow to you? Do you think a brat like you is worthy of my bow? Bah! Zhao Kunwu said coldly. Caw caw. The silver armor guards immediately drew their bows. Despising the Lord was a capital offense. At this moment, the silver-armored guards had complete faith in Yan Chuan. As long as he gave the order, they would go through fire and water for him. Kaka. The Green Scarf Army soldiers behind Zhao Kunwu also quickly drew their bows. They were all elite troops, and none of them were afraid. For a moment, the atmosphere was tense. What are you doing? You want to play with me? Zhao Kunwu's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Obviously, Zhao Kunwu was also a fierce general who had killed his way through the battlefield. Facing the rain of thousands of arrows, his expression did not change. The Zhao clan wants a piece of the pie when the feng shui formation changes. The Zhao family must have other people going in through other entrances, right? Yan Chuan said indifferently. So what if I am? Zhao Kunwu glared. Please. Yan Chuan smiled. Ha! Zhao Kunwu was slightly taken aback. It was a coincidence that the two armies met here. Zhao Kunwu originally thought that there would be a big massacre. Who would have thought that Yan Chuan would admit defeat in the blink of an eye? Ha ha ha. When I come out, I'll find you to teach me a lesson. Let's go. Zhao Kunwu laughed proudly. The difference in numbers was not big, but Zhao Kunwu still had a mission. Although he wanted to kill Yan Chuan, he knew that he would have to pay a huge price to do so. Even with Hua Guang's protection, he might not succeed. Since Yan Chuan had admitted defeat, Zhao Kunwu was naturally in a good mood. Wasn't the emperor of the emperor's equal admitting defeat the same as Yan Emperor admitting defeat? Zhao Kunwu liked this feeling. Kill Yan Chuan. It wouldn't be too late to kill him after he came out. Zhao Kunwu led the Green Scarf Army into the entrance of the feng shui formation. Lord? Hua Guang said unwillingly. Don't worry. He'll be dead in less than 4 hours. Yan Chuan said coldly. Ha! Yes. Hua Guang said in surprise. Pang! Pang! Mou Shi and the others landed on the ground. Okay, time to go in. Yang Zigu said. Let's go. Mou Shi looked at Yan Chuan. Chapter 56. Yan Chuan nodded and turned to look at the crane. You've been catching monsters every day for the past few days. I think it's better if you don't enter this feng shui formation. Yan Chuan said sincerely. Screech. The crane was displeased. A feng shui formation draws in qi from the earth and connects yin and yang. Birds can't fly inside and are even restricted. You won't be able to fly inside and will only be walking on the ground. You'll be at a disadvantage. Why don't you patrol the perimeter? When the formation is broken, you can fly in as a surprise attack. Yan Chuan advised again. Screech, screech. The crane was still unwilling. Prince Yan is right. I don't know much about feng shui, but I've read about it in some books. Birds can't enter a feng shui formation. Mr. Monroe nodded. Screech. The crane was still unwilling. "All right, little crane. Prince Yen is doing this for your own good. Just guard outside and wait for me when the formation is broken," Imo-Yushi finally said. Screech. The crane rubbed against Imo-Yushi, feeling wronged. However, Imo-Yushi was unmoved. Screech. The angry crane flapped its wings and soared into the sky, flying away. Imo-Yushi smiled bitterly, shook her head, and ignored it. Imo-Yushi knew that the crane was just throwing a tantrum. "Let's go." Imo-Yushi turned around and said. Yen Chuan nodded. The army slowly walked into the feng shui formation. At this moment, Yen Chuan did not sit in the sedan chair anymore. He slowly walked into the formation under the protection of a group of soldiers. The interior was dark like a tunnel. As they walked, a bright light suddenly appeared in front of them. They quickly walked through the tunnel. When they stepped out of the tunnel, the scenery in front of them suddenly changed. At first glance, it looked like a vast grassland with countless white clouds floating in the sky. On the grassland, plump white rabbits were eating the plump green grass. Some of the white rabbits had found carrots from somewhere and were happily nibbling on them. The sudden intrusion of 3,000 people startled the nearby white rabbits and they quickly ran away. Not long after they ran away, they foolishly forgot everything and continued to nibble on the grass and carrots. "Lord, Zhao Kunwu and the others are over there." In the distance, Zhao Kunwu's army headed northwest. The marching speed was very fast because in the northwest direction, there seemed to be a yellow pillar that connected the sky to the earth. It was the only strange sight on the grassland. "Ding Wugu, what pillar is that?" Yang Zigu asked. "My constitution can sense it." "That's the entrance to the inner array," Ding Wugu said proudly. "Let's go. Don't let those ants take the lead," Yang Zigu said excitedly. "Young Master Yang, have you forgotten about the Acheron horse fiend?" Mr. Monroe frowned. Yang Zigu raised his eyebrows and immediately calmed down. "Prince Yen, do you recognize this array?" Imo-Yushi asked. Everyone looked over. "I've heard of it. Only when the Acheron spring opens can we break into the inner array from that pillar." Yen Chuan did not hide anything. "The Acheron spring opens?" Imo-Yushi was puzzled. "When all the white clouds in the sky are dyed yellow by the Acheron spring, that's when the entrance opens. At the same time, it's also the most dangerous time. It happens once a day," Yen Chuan said. "I remember now. That day, when we entered the other entrance, the Acheron horse fiend appeared. It was when the yellow clouds were dense." Yang Zigu's eyes lit up. "There's still some time. Everyone, wait patiently," Yen Chuan said to everyone. Turning around, Yen Chuan looked at Hua Guang and said, "Now, kill the rabbits and take their blood." Yes. Hua Guang did not understand, but he quickly carried out the order. Nearly 3,000 soldiers immediately obeyed the order. They drew their bows and began to kill the white rabbits around them. "Kill rabbits?" Ding Wugu looked extremely disdainful. "Let's go and take a look at that pillar," Yang Zigu shouted. Imo-Yushi and the others nodded. In the blink of an eye, Imo-Yushi, Mr. Monroe, and the others left Yen Chuan. Yen Chuan ignored them. Instead, he ordered the soldiers to kill as many rabbits as possible. Chapter 57. Xiao. Xiao. Xiao, the silver-armored army's archers were all sharpshooters. Their arrows flashed and killed the white rabbits one by one. The dead rabbits quickly gathered. Hua Guang ordered the soldiers to quickly collect the rabbit blood. Soon, a bucket of rabbit blood was placed in front of Yen Chuan. "Lord, what is the use of this rabbit blood?" Hua Guang asked curiously. Yen Chuan scooped up a bowl and poured it on himself. Hua! Yen Chuan's chest was immediately dyed red by the rabbit blood. "Lord!" Lu Jin exclaimed. There are still 4 hours before dusk in the outside world. In these 4 hours, all soldiers, apply the rabbit blood on your armor. Quick! Yen Chuan said in a low voice. Hua Guang's eyes were filled with doubts. He did not understand what Yen Chuan was doing, but he immediately carried out the order, yes. Everyone, smear yourselves with rabbit blood. Hua Guang ordered. Ah! The officers and soldiers were puzzled. But when they turned their heads and saw that Yen Chuan was applying the rabbit blood, they immediately obeyed. A grandiose operation to kill rabbits began. Even though there were many rabbits, they could not withstand the large-scale slaughter of the 3,000 silver-armored army. Thus, the silver-armored army killed the rabbits as they walked towards the yellow pillar. Along the way, countless rabbits suffered from destructive attacks. In the distance, outside the pillar, Zhao Kunwu led the army to surround the pillar, but the pillar did not have any abnormalities. Zhao Kunwu was filled with doubts. When Imo Yushi and the others arrived, although the Green Scarf Army tried to stop them, the Green Scarf Army no longer dared to offend Imo Yushi and the others after Azure Dragon threw a reckless little general a kilometer away. Zhao Kunwu quickly restrained the soldiers. These people were definitely from the Immortal sect. If they did not want to die, it was best to stay away. Ding Wugu, where is the entrance? Imo Yushi asked. The entrance is not open yet, but I feel that it should be soon. Ding Wugu said immediately. Imo Yushi frowned and looked around. Yen Chuan said that there will be danger when the Yellow Springs opens. Mr. Monroe, what do you think? Imo Yushi asked Mr. Monroe. Mr. Monroe laughed. Saintus, you are wrong. Why don't you ask? My guess is not accurate. As soon as Mr. Wenrua said this, everyone immediately turned to look at Yen Chuan, including Ding Wugu's jealous gaze. However, the moment they saw the 3,000 silver-armored soldiers in the distance, their faces froze unconsciously. What are they doing? Yang Zhijiu asked curiously. Are they stupid? Smear the body with rabbit blood? Ding Wugu was also at a loss. In the distance, the original silver-armored army had already changed into the blood-armored army. Their bodies were red. The silver-armored army at the front was shooting a rain of arrows. They quickly killed the rabbits, then grabbed them and smeared their blood all over their bodies. This? Mr. Monroe, have you seen this in the records? Imo Yushi was also confused. Mr. Monroe shook his head. We caught a rabbit just now, but there was nothing wrong with it. This Yen Chuan, I can't figure it out. Yen Chuan must have a reason for doing this. It's just that he doesn't want to say it. Imo Yushi said seriously. Ha ha ha, a king on par with the emperor? Are you stupid? These people are crazy. Zhao Kunwu laughed. Ha ha ha. Zhao Kunwu laughed mockingly. His subordinates also laughed. In the distance, Yen Chuan's army was approaching. When all the soldiers were smeared with rabbit blood, the army was already in front of them. Chapter 58. Yen Chuan showed a hint of disdain in the face of everyone's mockery. He ignored them and looked at the pillar that connected heaven and earth. A ray of yellow light suddenly appeared on the pillar. The yellow spring is about to open. Yen Chuan took a deep breath and said. What? Hua Guang did not understand. Get into formation and gather together. Yen Chuan ordered. Yes. Get into formation. Hua Guang shouted. Boom. The silver armor army quickly gathered together. The sudden gathering of Yen Chuan's army attracted everyone's attention. They all looked at the yellow pillar in the center. A ray of yellow light flashed across the yellow pillar. Suddenly, a yellow halo appeared on the white clouds that surrounded the pillar in the sky. The yellow halo flashed, and a few white clouds were dyed yellow. 8 Evil's Yellow Spring. Just as Yen Chuan said, the yellow spring is about to open. Mr. Monroe said with a serious expression. It's not just the sky. Look at the ground. Qing Long said. Where the yellow clouds covered, traces of yellow liquid suddenly appeared on the ground. As soon as the yellow liquid appeared, the grass was dyed yellow. The yellow clouds in the sky kept increasing. On the ground, the yellow liquid was also rapidly expanding. From the pillar, it continued to expand, growing bigger and bigger. What's going on? Zhao Kunwa's expression changed. Not far from Zhao Kunwa's army, a little white rabbit was happily eating a carrot. At this moment, the yellow liquid on the ground spread to the little white rabbit. The little white rabbit's body shook, and its body grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. The little white rabbit grew bigger and bigger. Slowly, the white rabbit's body reached 10 feet, 20 feet. A 20 feet tall rabbit? Not only that, but the rabbit's body also seemed to have evolved. Its two front legs seemed to have become arms. It sat on the ground with its back facing everyone. What's that? How did the rabbit grow bigger? A young soldier exclaimed. The 20 feet tall rabbit had its back facing everyone. The rabbit's body was slightly emitting a thick black evil aura. The rabbit grew bigger. What kind of monster is that? A demon beast? Impossible, it was just an ordinary rabbit just now. Camouflage? Sir, what should we do? The soldiers looked fearfully at the huge rabbit that had suddenly grown to a height of 6 meters. Fear flashed in his eyes. You, go over and take a look. Zhao Kunwu said to a young general. Your Excellency, I'm afraid. The young general said in fear. What are you waiting for? If you don't go, I'll kill you, Zhao Kunwu glared and shouted. Yes. Yes. The young general walked forward fearfully. Creak, creak. The big rabbit, whose back was facing everyone, made strange noises. The young general walked forward timidly. The long saber in his hand was also trembling. Not daring to go around to the front, the young general walked closer and stabbed the long saber in his hand at the big rabbit. The knife was about to pierce into the rabbit's body. Who? A white light flashed. The young general immediately left the ground and flew into the air. A large, furry hand grabbed the young general. The big white rabbit turned around at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, it had captured the young general. It held him tightly in its hand. Save me! Your Excellency, save me! The young general cried for help in fear. However, the Green Scarf Army seemed to be scared out of their wits. The 2,000 soldiers unconsciously took a step back in fear. What kind of monster is that? A Green Scarf Army soldier cried out in fear. Chapter 59. The big white rabbit turned around, but it wasn't a big white rabbit anymore. It had a human-like face, no, a demonic face. 2 lantern-sized scarlet eyes, a face surrounded by black gas, and when the rabbit opened its mouth, it revealed saw-like sharp teeth. Squeak, squeak. The rabbit's squeak was the sound of 2 rows of rabbit teeth rubbing against each other, as if 2 large saws were sawing at each other. It was terrifying. Help! Little General, who was caught in the big rabbit's hand, kept crying out. The big rabbit seemed to be annoyed. It turned its head to look at the young general in its hand. The big rabbit grinned. The young general was sure that this was the scariest smile he had ever seen in his life. The rabbit's smile? It was too scary. But this thought didn't last long. The big rabbit brought the young general to its mouth. No! The young general screamed in horror. Crunch! Like a carrot, the young general was bitten in half by the big rabbit. Blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely bloody. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The big rabbit enjoyed this human-shaped carrot. Its mouth twisted as it chewed on half of the young general's body. Eating people? The soldiers had killed countless people, but they had never seen someone eat a person like a carrot. Some of the soldiers were used to seeing mountains of corpses and seas of blood, but at this moment, their legs went weak and their stomachs churned. Whoa! Squeak, squeak, squeak. The other half of the young general's body was also eaten by the big rabbit. It looked like it was enjoying itself. Netherworld Rabbit Demon. This is the Netherworld Rabbit Demon. Yang Ziga's expression was extremely ugly. Is it going to start? Mr. Monroe frowned slightly. In the distance, the big rabbit had just eaten a person and was very unsatisfied. It looked at the green scarf army again. Its scarlet eyes flashed with greed. Bang! The big rabbit jumped and was not far away from the green scarf army. No, don't come over, don't come over. Some green scarf army soldiers shouted in horror. Release the arrows, release the arrows. Zhao Kunwu shouted in horror. Swish! 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 A large number of arrows rained down. But now, the rabbit was no longer the ordinary rabbit. It was the Netherworld Rabbit Demon that had been demonized by the yellow liquid. Hundreds of arrows rained down. Bang! All of them were rebounded by the rabbit's fur. Boom! Boom! The rabbit approached again, and with a wave of its hand, a large number of soldiers were flung away. He grabbed a green scarf army soldier with each hand. No, don't eat me. Help! The two green scarf army soldiers roared in shock. But how could the rabbit demon listen to Radish at this moment? Crack! Squeak, squeak, squeak. Crack! Squeak, squeak, squeak. The sound of chewing radishes could be heard incessantly. The rabbit devils brought about great panic as they continuously gnawed at the green scarf army. Release the arrows, release the arrows. Retreat! Retreat! The green scarf army immediately fell into chaos. Zhao Kunwu quickly retreated with the green scarf army. However, the nightmare had just begun. As the number of yellow clouds in the sky increased, more and more yellow liquid seeped out from the ground. All the rabbits that came into contact with the yellow liquid would experience a huge change in their bodies. In the vast grassland, 1 rabbit demon, 10 rabbit demons, 100 rabbit demons, 1,000 rabbit demons. The number of Yellow Springs rabbit devils kept increasing, and they surrounded everyone with a strong offensive power. No! The green scarf army soldiers looked at the countless rabbit demons in horror. Chapter 60. No! The green scarf army looked at the countless rabbit demons surrounding them in fear. More and more rabbit demons appeared. From all directions, they gathered towards the central pillar and pounced on everyone. All the radishes. Boom! Boom! The rabbit demons used its strength and slapped a large number of soldiers. It grabbed them one by one and bit them. Save me! No! Let me go! The green scarf army lost all their advantages in front of the demons. They panicked and fled in all directions. Many of them were even trampled to death by their brothers in the chaos. Retreat, retreat! Zhao Kunwu roared with red eyes. However, no matter how fast they were, could they be faster than the demons? If not for the fact that there were too many of them and the rabbit demons couldn't speak, these 2,000 soldiers would have already died. Boom! Boom! Roar! Roar! In order to fight for the radishes, the rabbit demons also fought and bit each other. The scene became extremely chaotic. Cries, chewing, rushing, and escaping sounds instantly became very noisy. Not far from Imo Yushi, a rabbit demon roared and pounced. Roar! Qing Long changed positions and blocked in front of Imo Yushi and punched. Boom! The rabbit demon was immediately sent flying and rolled a dozen times on the ground. Roar! Roar! The rabbit demon wasn't killed. It flipped over and got up. However, its fur had turned pink and the evil aura around it was increasing. It looked more and more evil. Roar! With a roar, the rabbit demon pounced again and stomped on the ground, creating a large pit. His body was surrounded by a black aura, as if he was a demon from hell. Qing Long seal! Qing Long shouted. He pinched a hand seal, and a green light emerged from his hand. Then, he shot it toward the devil rabbit with a loud rumble. Boom! The rabbit demon was sent flying again. Its body was covered in wounds, but it was still alive. Its fur was dyed red by its own blood. The black chi was so dense that it was like a fog. Saintus, this monster is getting stronger and stronger. Qin Long said worriedly. The four of you, block the rabbit demon. Mou, she said solemnly. Yes. Qin Long and the other three subordinates obeyed. Ding Wugu, you are a feng shui master. Where is the entrance? Can you feel it? Mou, she stared at Wugu. Wugu's expression turned ugly. I can sense that the entrance is right here in the pillar, but the entrance hasn't appeared yet. I don't know, Ding Wugu panicked. What? There are more and more rabbit devils. Yang Zhijiu said with an ugly expression. Ask him, ask that brat. Ding Wugu immediately shouted. At this moment, the most panicked person was Wugu Yu Wugu. Apart from those mortals, his cultivation was the lowest. If he was not careful, he would die on the spot. Ding Wugu was well aware of how strong the Azure Dragon was. However, even such a powerful Azure Dragon had failed to kill the Devil Rabbit several times. This was not just one, but tens of thousands. At this moment, he even forgot to be jealous of Yan Chuan and immediately looked at Yan Chuan. Not only Wugu Yu Wugu, everyone looked at Yan Chuan. But when they saw Yan Chuan's army, everyone was instantly petrified. This group of demon rabbit, are they crazy? Yang Zigu said in disbelief. Yan Chuan saw Wugu Yu Wugu's panicked expression in the distance and immediately showed a trace of disdain. Chapter 61. Feng Shui Master. This guy counts as a Feng Shui Master. He's not even fit to carry the shoes of the lowest-ranked Feng Shui Master. Yan Chuan said disdainfully. Even someone like him, who didn't cultivate Feng Shui, knew how to get through the formation, but the Feng Shui Master was panicking. No wonder Yan Chuan was so disdainful. Lord, why aren't these monsters attacking us? Is it because of the rabbit blood on us? Huguang was still uncertain. After all, the scene of the Green Scarf Army being eaten alive was too shocking. But these monsters didn't dare to approach. Why? They're demonized white rabbits, not monsters. They don't have the intelligence of monsters, only their instincts. They're vicious, violent, bloodthirsty, and gluttonous. But at the same time, they can sense the smell of blood on us. This isn't ordinary blood, it's their own. Although you can't see it, in the eyes of these rabbit demons, our blood is overwhelming, and it's the blood left behind by the deaths of many of their kind. Therefore, the rabbit demons are instinctively afraid. They don't dare to approach. Yan Chuan explained. I understand. The Lord ordered us to kill rabbits from the beginning. Was it for this moment? Huguang said in admiration. Fortunately, the Lord is here. The young generals nearby sighed. So there's no need to be afraid. Yan Chuan shook his head. It's not that simple. These rabbits can't take care of us now, but as time passes, they might not be able to resist and rush over. At this moment, Zhao Kunwu, who was fleeing in the distance, suddenly turned his head and froze. Impossible! Zhao Kunwu roared angrily. It wasn't just Zhao Kunwu. The Green Scarf Army escorting Zhao Kunwu all stared with wide eyes. In the distance, Yan Chuan's 3,000 soldiers stood there quietly. Not a single rabbit demon attacked. Not attack. Why? Seeing more than half of his Green Scarf Army dead, and Yan Chuan's unscathed army in the distance, Zhao Kunwu felt an indescribable resentment. Blood? Is it rabbit blood? Zhao Kunwu suddenly thought. Previously, when Yan Chuan's army kept killing rabbits and smearing their bodies with their blood, Zhao Kunwu had laughed out loud. Only now did he know why. Rabbit blood? It turned out that rabbit blood could scare off this group of monsters. "You little bastard!" Zhao Kunwu said angrily. "Sir, those monsters are chasing us again. Let's go." A young general urged from the side. "Monster?" Zhao Kunwu quivered. Immediately, Zhao Kunwu withdrew his consciousness and was about to flee. But as soon as he turned his head, nearly 100 demonic rabbits surrounded him from all directions. As for his small group, there were only about 100 people in total. "Milord, how do we escape?" the young general said in horror. The members of the Green Scarf Army revealed looks of despair. "Go to Yan Chuan's place. Quick, go there!" Zhao Kunwu shouted anxiously. "Yes." Everyone immediately responded. "Sir, when the time comes, let's beg Yan Chuan. After all, we are still the Yan State's army. He can't just ignore us," a young general suddenly shouted. "N." Zhao Kunwu nodded. A group of people ran towards Yan Chuan. Behind them, a group of demonic rabbits kept chasing. "Your Highness, that group of traitors is here." Lu Jin's expression changed as he said. They even attracted a large group of demonic rabbits. "Lord, what should we do?" Hua Guang was also worried. Plotting against the state and looking down on the king. "Kill them." Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold. "Yes." Hua Guang immediately understood Yan Chuan's meaning. "Put the arrows on the crossbows." Hua Guang waved his hand. Kakakakaka. 2,000 crossbows immediately aimed in Zhao Kunwu's direction. Chapter 62. Don't. We surrender. Lord, we were wrong. Please save us. Lord, Zhao Kunwu, was wrong. Lord, please have mercy on us. The Green Scarf Army soldiers cried and begged for mercy. Yan Chuan stood with his hands behind his back. He squinted his eyes and shook his head. "It's too late. Fire!" Hua Guang ordered. Boom! Arrows rained down on Zhao Kunwu and the others. More than 2,000 arrows, like more than 2,000 death talismans, suddenly landed on more than 100 Green Scarf Army soldiers. Ah! Don't! After a round of arrows, more than half of them were turned into porcupines. Their bodies were pierced by arrows, and they died with hatred. However, there were also 16 people with high cultivation. Their bodies glowed with green light and blocked the arrows. They were lucky enough to survive. Zhao Kunwu clutched his left shoulder that had been pierced. His eyes were filled with hatred. Yan Chuan, you will die a horrible death. Traitor, you deserve to die. Yan Chuan snorted. Zhao Kunwu's eyes were red. The scar on his face twitched. He shouted, "Everyone, follow me and kill Yan Chuan." Yes! The 15 generals who were still alive shouted. Boom! The 15 of them charged at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan stood at the head of the 3,000 soldiers. He was the closest to Zhao Kunwu and the others. Seeing everyone running over without regard for their lives, Hua Guang's face changed and he said, "Release the arrows. Protect him." Lu Jin shouted. Boom! A large number of arrows rained down on the 15 people. More than a dozen silver-armored soldiers rushed forward to protect him. Lord, retreat with the old slave. Zhao Kunwu and the others are crazy. Lu Jin shouted Jiaohu. Yan Chuan ignored her. Retreat? How could this bunch of filthy people make him retreat? Under the rain of arrows, another 5 generals were killed on the spot. However, the cultivation of this group of people was too high, and 11 of them rushed forward. As the two sides clashed, the nearby silver-armored soldiers swarmed forward. The long spears turned into a forest of spears, fiercely thrusting. Dang! Dang! The 11 powerhouses' bodies glowed with green light as they waved their long sabers. Streaks of green saber light shot out as they blocked the silver-armored soldiers. There were 3,000 silver armor guards, but not many of them relied on Yan Chuan. Even though they were surging from behind, they were still too slow. Zhao Kunwu broke out of the encirclement with 3 of them and arrived in front of Yan Chuan in an instant. Toxic Dragon Drill. Hu Guang's long spear emitted a dazzling silver light. It seemed as if it had transformed into a silver dragon, and ruthlessly pierced towards Zhao Kunwu. You are already at LV8 of the power realm? Zhao Kunwu's expression changed. Dragon-slaying slash. The broadsword in Zhao Kunwu's hand blossomed with a dazzling green light, and fiercely chopped towards Hu Guang's long spear. Boom! The saber and the spear collided with a loud noise, and the ground beneath their feet cracked. Hu Guang's long spear broke into pieces, and so did Zhao Kunwu's broadsword. Ta, ta, ta! Hu Guang retreated 7 or 8 steps before he could stabilize himself. My lord! A silver-armored Jiaohu next to him shouted. Whoosh! Hu Guang snatched his long spear and rushed forward again. When Hu Guang was pushed back, Zhao Kunwu also took 2 steps back. His eyes were filled with uncertainty, but Zhao Kunwu also reacted quickly. He threw away his broken broadsword and rushed towards Yan Chuan barehanded. Without Hu Guang blocking his way, Zhao Kunwu sped up. Stop! Hu Guang threw his long spear towards Zhao Kunwu, who was rushing towards Yan Chuan. Whoosh! Zhao Kunwu quickly dodged and looked at Hu Guang, who was about to catch up with him. Chapter 63. Stop Hu Guang! Stop Hu Guang! Zhao Kunwu shouted. Yes! 2 subordinates answered and went to stop Hu Guang. Sir! Another young soldier threw a spear. Hu Guang caught it and shouted at the 2 people blocking his way, those who block me will die. Boom! The spear broke one person's broadsword and went straight for his shoulder. However, the other person slashed at Hu Guang. Boom! Hu Guang blocked his blade, but his body was dragged down. Zhao Kunwu arrived in front of Yan Chuan in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! 10 spears came from all directions, but the cultivation of these silver-armored guards was far inferior to Zhao Kunwu's. Boom! Boom! Zhao Kunwu's body emitted a green light. When he stretched out his hand and punched, the spears around him were knocked away and he went straight for Yan Chuan, who was 2 steps away. At this moment, Lu Jin was entangled by the last person brought by Zhao Kunwu. In an instant, Yan Chuan was exposed to Zhao Kunwu's palms. Because his left shoulder was hit by an arrow, Zhao Kunwu's right hand formed a claw and grabbed at Yan Chuan's throat. He wanted to break Yan Chuan's throat. Zhao Kunwu's right claw was filled with killing intent. It scratched Yan Chuan's face. Yan Chuan didn't retreat. His eyes were cold. Just as the green claw was about to grab him, Yan Chuan leaned back and narrowly avoided Zhao Kunwu's claw. Wide open. Yan Chuan's disdainful voice sounded in Zhao Kunwu's ears. Zhao Kunwu's expression changed. At this moment, Yan Chuan's right hand went straight for Zhao Kunwu's chest. Boom! Yan Chuan's right hand was emitting a golden light. At this moment, it seemed to have turned into a golden dragon claw. Boom! The claw broke Zhao Kunwu's armor. It pierced through the green light and embedded itself into his flesh. No! Zhao Kunwu's expression changed. His body flipped violently. Chi! Zhao Kunwu dodged Yan Chuan's heart-piercing claw, but a large chunk of his flesh was still clawed off by Yan Chuan. White bone hand. As Zhao Kunwu flipped his body, his hand strangely passed through the gap between the flipped body. Like a steel claw, cold light radiated in all directions, and once again grabbed at Yan Chuan's face. Zhao family's ultimate technique? In the distance, Lu Jin's expression changed greatly. Lord! The silver-armored Jiaohu shouted. The white bone hand was the most powerful skill of the Zhao family. It was said that no one under the state of essence could resist it. Zhao Kunwu actually knew the white bone hand. Hoochie! The sound of flesh being torn apart could be heard, and blood splattered everywhere. Yan Chuan and Zhao Kunwu stopped fighting. Almost everyone suddenly fell silent. Zhao Kunwu's skeletal hand didn't touch Yan Chuan's body. It only grabbed Yan Chuan's shoulder. However, Yan Chuan's palm had pierced into Zhao Kunwu's chest. LV7 of the state of strength? You are only at LV7 of the state of strength? But I am at LV9 of the state of strength. Why? Zhao Kunwu asked in disbelief. The skill you practice is too weak. There are too many flaws. Yan Chuan said lightly. Squeak. Yan Chuan clenched his hand violently and crushed Zhao Kunwu's heart. A large amount of blood splattered everywhere. No, the white bone hand of the Zhao family is the best in the state of strength. The family head said that no one can break the state of strength. There are no flaws. Zhao Kunwu shouted with his last breath. But in my eyes, there are flaws everywhere. Yan Chuan said disdainfully. No. Zhao Kunwu breathed his last in despair. Bang! Yan Chuan pulled his hand out of Zhao Kunwu's chest. Chi! 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 10 spears pierced through Zhao Kunwu. Lord! The Green Scarf Army shouted in fear. Die! Hua Guang pierced through another person. A large number of blood armor soldiers rushed over and killed the rest of the rebels. Bang! The corpses of Zhao Kunwu and the others were thrown out. Chapter 64. A group of demon rabbits immediately surrounded them and quickly divided up the corpses. They held the corpses in their hands and chewed. Although the blood armor army was not troubled by the demon rabbits, they still felt their stomachs churn when they saw the demon rabbits eating people up close. Not far away, Moyushi's subordinates took up 4 positions to protect the group. A large number of demon rabbits surrounded them. These demon rabbits seemed to be unkillable. Qing Long attacked again and again, making the demon rabbits stronger and stronger. Even when Qing Long cut a demon rabbit in half, the demon rabbit could still live. It leaned together and recovered to its original state. Mr. Monroe, these monsters can't be killed. What kind of monsters are they? Qing Long said anxiously. If they were demon beasts, Qing Long would have killed them long ago. However, these rabbits could not be killed. Underworld rabbit demons? Are they related to the underworld? The underworld guides dead souls. As long as the soul is not destroyed, they will not die. Mr. Monroe frowned. Moreover, even if we pay the price to destroy the soul of the rabbit, there are still countless demon rabbits here. Moyushi said worriedly. Then what should we do? Qing Long said anxiously. Let's go. Let's get closer to Yan Chuan and ask him. Mr. Monroe said. Yes. Everyone answered. The 4 experts kept sending the demon rabbits flying as they approached Yan Chuan. However, the demon rabbits that were sent flying immediately rushed over again. Wherever they passed, the sky was filled with demon rabbits that were sent flying. At the same time, Yan Chuan's army was also in danger. With the death of the Green Scarf Army, more and more demon rabbits surrounded Yan Chuan. Caw 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 caw. The demon rabbits glared and kept growling. The demon rabbits became more and more irritable. They felt the fear of the demon blood on everyone and suppressed their desire to devour them. Caw 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 caw. More and more demon rabbits gathered. When there were more than 500 of them, some of them were ready to attack. Lord, what should we do? Hua Guang looked worried. Seal, sword seal of the Achilles seal. Yan Chuan shouted. Sword seal. Sword seal. Hua Guang was at a loss at first, but then he immediately understood. Quickly give out orders. Caw! The 3,000 soldiers quickly stabbed their spears into the ground. The index and middle fingers of his left hand stretched out separately, and he used his thumb to press down on the fingernails of his little finger and ring finger. His right hand did the same, and he placed his index and middle fingers on the palm of his left hand, stacking the two swords. The sword seal was formed. 3,000 sword seal. Done. Wang. The group of rabbit demons suddenly fell silent. Rabbit Demon could see the blood fiend formed by the rabbit blood. Originally, he only saw wisps of blood-colored fog surrounding everyone, but at that moment the blood-colored fog changed. Show! In an instant, it was as if 3,000 blood-red swords had emerged from the blood mist. The original blood fiend was catalyzed to the extreme. Silently recite the mantra. Yan Chuan ordered. Recite the mantra. Yan Chuan's order was quickly passed down by word of mouth, and the entire army quickly understood. Southern three-man duo Afei Jaluo Valiant. Southern three-man duo Afei Jaluo Valiant. Southern three-man duo Afei Jaluo Valiant. The 3,000 soldiers recited the mantra and immediately activated the sword seal. In the eyes of the rabbit demons, the 3,000 blood-red swords immediately shot out sharp blood fiend sword auras. Like a hurricane, they surged towards the group of rabbit demons. Although the sword seal activated by mortals did not have much power, and only had a majestic aura, these demon rabbits did not have much intelligence, only instinct. The terrifying sword baleful aura shot over, and the rabbit demon seemed to have seen despair. It immediately retreated in fear. Woo woo woo. The rabbit demons stumbled and crawled away in fear. In their panic, they even collided with each other. The scene was in chaos. This came from the purest of instincts. As the rabbit demons could be revived, they did not fear death. However, Yan Chuan's army was stained with the blood fiend of their own kind. They were truly killed, and in large numbers. Once the sword fiend was released, it was as if a great destruction had swept over. How could the rabbit demons not flee? The eyes of the Silver Armor army lit up, and they were all unusually excited. Because at this moment, everyone understood that this was not a trick. It was a real immortal technique, an immortal technique. Everyone looked at Yan Chuan gratefully. He carefully and solemnly recalled this set of Akalanatha seal, afraid that he would forget it. Lord, we've succeeded, we've succeeded. Hua Guang said excitedly. The rabbit demons scattered, causing the people in the distance to be shocked. Yang Zigu and Ding Wugu's faces twitched. Qing Long felt bitter. He was an expert, but he could not achieve anything after fighting for so long. Yet, the rabbit demons did not dare to approach those mortals. Mr. Monroe, what seal is this? Mo Yushi's eyes lit up. Buddhist seal. Akalanatha seal. Mr. Monroe said solemnly. Akalanatha seal? Mo Yushi said in surprise. Akalanatha seal is easy to learn, but difficult to master. It also lost some of the seals. It's an incomplete set, Mr. Monroe said thoughtfully. Incomplete set? This set of seals requires constant practice and accumulation of years. The longer you practice it, the stronger it will be. Although the power of this group of mortals is not great, it's perfect to use here. The most important thing is the blood of the rabbit demons. This Yan Chuan should be very familiar with the Eight Evils Yellow Springs formation. He was able to resolve the crisis step by step with a group of mortals, Mr. Monroe said with a frown. Yes, he really knows this formation. Mo Yushi said expectantly. Chapter 65. Mo Yushi's three subordinates lured the group of red-furred demon rabbits away. The others approached Yan Chuan. Prince Yan, are you familiar with this formation? Mo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan and asked. Yan Chuan looked at the others. Although his cultivation in his previous life was gone, his eyesight did not diminish. Other than Mr. Wenrua, everyone else had a high and mighty attitude. Including Mo Yushi. She was polite to him because he was useful to her. This superior attitude made Yan Chuan extra careful. Therefore, when the others made the unreasonable request of asking Yan Chuan to be their guide, Yan Chuan immediately agreed. I've heard of this outer formation before, but not much. Yan Chuan smiled. Not much. What else? Mo Yushi asked. Yan Chuan looked at the sky. Yellow clouds were about to cover the entire sky. Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes and said, the entrance is about to appear. Similarly, the most dangerous moment is coming. Oh? The others were slightly surprised. Rumble. The moment the yellow clouds covered the sky, a loud boom rang out, and the entire world inside the formation shook violently. The shaking was most intense at the center of the yellow pillar. After a series of explosions, the ground around the yellow pillar cracked. As the ground shook, 8 mounds appeared around the pillar. The mounds grew larger and larger. Gradually, they rose from the ground and looked like 8 tall mountains. Why are there 8 mountains suddenly? Mo Yushi frowned. These are not mountains. These are 8 graves. When the 8 Malice Yellow Springs formation is set up, the Feng Shui master must bury 64 powerful monsters alive. These are the graves of 8 of them. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Bury them alive? Qing Long was surprised. It's similar to burying them alive. This way, they can accumulate their resentment and set up the formation with their resentment. This is a common method used by many Feng Shui formations. Haven't you heard of it? Yan Chuan looked at the others. Mr. Monroe shook his head and said, there are very few Feng Shui books. The Feng Shui master's heritage is passed down by word of mouth. We don't have many Feng Shui masters here. Therefore, we know very little about Feng Shui. Isn't he a Feng Shui master? Yan Chuan looked at Ding Wu with a smile. Ding Wu Ding's face, the Feng Shui array I studied just happened to not have this. Ding Wugu argued. On the ground, there was a yellow liquid. On the ground was a sea. The ground. Is the ground is sinking? The ground? Qing Long's face changed. The Feng Shui masters. The 8 Feng Shui master is, Feng Shui master, NN. As. Yan Chuan walked at the front and analyzed the 8 tombs in front of him. His eyes narrowed and the corners of his mouth curled up. He immediately walked towards one of the tombs. With Yan Chuan leading the way, the group naturally walked into one of the tombs. Although it was called a tomb, the tomb was extremely tall. Just as they walked to the foot of the tomb, the group subconsciously turned their heads to look back. Behind them was a vast yellow spring sea. In the yellow spring sea, many Feng Shui rabbit demons seemed to have sunk into the yellow spring sea and disappeared. Only 8 of them did not disappear. Moreover, these 8 Feng Shui rabbit demons grew bigger and bigger. 50 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, 1,000 feet tall. As the Feng Shui rabbit demons grew bigger, the murderous aura around them grew heavier. Roar! The 8 Feng Shui rabbit demons roared at the sky. The yellow clouds in the sky spun rapidly and the weather changed. Chapter 66. 8 rabbit demons, each guarding a huge tomb. One of them was guarding the huge tomb Yan Chuan's group was in. Immediately, it roared and charged forward. Mo Yushi's 3 subordinates floated in the air. White Tiger. Rose Finch. Xuan Wu. The 3 subordinates formed hand seals and attacked the rabbit demons. Balls of white light, red light, and black light shot straight at the enormous devil rabbit pouncing over. Boom! The huge impact caused the rabbit demons to tremble. But the rabbit demons still charged forward. Boom! Boom! 2 slaps sent 2 of them flying. Not good. Qing Long's expression changed. Qing Long stepped forward and joined the battle. 100 zhang. How tall was 100 zhang? 1 zhang was 1 floor. 100 zhang was a monster as tall as 100 floors? At this moment, the silver-armored army was shocked. Their eyes also flashed with desire. They wanted to have such power. Saintus, quickly find the entrance. The 4 of us will block it. Qing Long said Jiaohu. All right. Mou, she nodded. As she spoke, she looked at Yen Chuan. I found it. I found the entrance. Ding Wugu suddenly danced with joy. HM. Everyone turned to look at Ding Wugu. I can feel it. It's at the top of the mountain. No, it's at the top of this tomb. I can feel it. Ding Wugu immediately said excitedly. At the same time, Ding Wugu looked at Yen Chuan provocatively. Yen Chuan smiled faintly. As for the exact entrance, only people with special physiques can sense it. I can't sense it. Let's go up the mountain first. Yang Zigu said excitedly. Let's go. Ding Wugu walked at the front with excitement. Go up the mountain. Yen Chuan said. Yes. Hua Guang replied. 3,000 soldiers followed Yen Chuan up the mountain quickly. Ding Wugu and the others had high cultivation levels, so their speed was especially fast. In the blink of an eye, they had left the army behind. Looking at Ding Wugu's smug appearance, Yen Chuan revealed an imperceptible sneer. At the top of the mountain, there was a huge platform carved with a large number of runes. Ding Wugu, Yang Zigu and the others were the first to reach the peak. Ding Wugu, where is the entrance? Mou, she asked. Here. Ding Wugu pointed at the center of the countless runes. Everyone looked at Ding Wugu in confusion. I can't be wrong. I can feel it. It's right here. In feng shui, it's called a seamless entrance. It needs to be opened with the blood of a feng shui master. As he spoke, Ding Wugu bit his finger and blood flowed out. He walked to the center and dripped his blood onto a rune in the center. Wang! The rune suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light, and then a large amount of fog gushed out. Rumble! A crack suddenly appeared in the fog. It was just like the crack in the feng shui array. The interior of the crack was pitch black. It's here. Go in from here. Ding Wugu said excitedly. Then let's go in. Yang Ziga nodded. Let's wait for Yen Chuan. Mou, she frowned. Yen Chuan's army was halfway up the mountain. Why should we wait for them? They're a bunch of burdens. Ding Wugu said angrily. They'll be here soon. Mr. Monroe advised. If you want to wait, then wait. I'm going in first. Ding Wugu said unhappily. Ding Wugu stepped into the crack. Everyone looked at Ding Wugu with unpleasant expressions. Clearly, they were unhappy with Ding Wugu's decision. Ah! Save me! Ding Wugu's screams suddenly came from inside. Oh no! Mr. Monroe's expression changed. They rushed in. Chapter 67. Isn't this the entrance? What's going on? What should we do? Yang Ziga panicked. With Mr. Monroe's help, Ding Wugu will be fine. Mou, she comforted him. After that, Mou, she looked down at Yen Chuan and the others. Her face was slightly gloomy. She seemed to have guessed something. Boom! At the entrance, a white light shot up into the sky, instantly illuminating the surroundings. The entire tomb shook violently. Yen Chuan, who was halfway up the mountain, paused for a moment. He looked at the top of the mountain and pondered. What a strong aura of righteousness. This Mr. Monroe seems to be hiding his strength. Boom! Mr. Monroe came out with Ding Wugu in his hands. Mr. Monroe's clothes were slightly damaged. Ding Wugu's body was full of bloody holes. His clothes were dyed red with blood. In the big bloody holes, one could even see the white bones. His left eye was badly mutilated, and he was dying. Ding Wugu, how are you? Yang Ziga's face changed. He quickly took out a pill and fed it to Ding Wugu. As soon as the pill entered his stomach, his body emitted waves of green light. The bloody holes on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, his left eye could not be healed. It was left with a hideous bloody hole. Chickens, chickens, so many chickens. They pecked me. Ding Wugu said with lingering fear. Mr. Monroe's face darkened. Mr. Monroe, what happened just now? Mo Yushi asked solemnly. Mo Yushi knew Mr. Monroe's strength. For such a powerful person to come out in such a sorry state, it was clear that the inside was dangerous. This is not the entrance, Mr. Monroe said simply. At this moment, Yan Chuan's army finally reached the top of the mountain. Looking at Ding Wugu, who was full of bloody holes, Yan Chuan sighed. It was a pity. Ding Wugu, didn't you say this is the entrance? Yang Zigu shouted. I just have a feeling. I know. It must be that dog. He did it on purpose. He wants to harm me, he wants to harm me. Ding Wugu cried out. It's you, Yan Chuan. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? You want to kill me? Ding Wugu roared at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan, did you do this on purpose? Yang Zigu also looked at Yan Chuan coldly. Mo Yushi once again examined Yan Chuan. Hearing everyone's questions, the Silver Armor Army was in an uproar. All of them looked at Yan Chuan with gratitude. It was this dwarf who had used the poisonous fog to kill two of his brothers. If it was really the Lord's doing, then it was to avenge their dead brothers. Unfortunately, the dwarf didn't die. On purpose? What a joke. How did I do it on purpose? You found the entrance yourself. What does the danger inside have to do with me? Yan Chuan said disdainfully. It must be you. It must be you. Ding Wugu roared hatefully. Yan Chuan smiled disdainfully. Enough. Mo Yushi shouted coldly. She stopped Ding Wugu. She turned to Yan Chuan and said, Prince Yan, I don't care if you did it on purpose or not. I don't want to pursue the matter. I just want to know how to enter the inner formation. The entrance is at the top of these 8 tombs. However, there is only one entrance. You need the special physique of a feng shui master to find it. Yan Chuan nodded. I won't believe you. I won't believe you. Ding Wugu said hatefully. I didn't ask you to believe me. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Ding Wugu's face immediately turned red. He stared hatefully at Yan Chuan. Mr. Wenruo smiled bitterly with a complicated expression. Mr. Monroe was sure that Yan Chuan was the one who set Ding Wugu up. Chapter 68. It was a pity that Ding Wugu had been ruthless and domineering all his life. Now, he finally got his comeuppance for provoking Yan Chuan. When we entered just now, there were countless roosters. It must be the grave of the Sun position. Since we've already entered the Kun position, we must enter the Kun position as well. This is the Sun position. The Kun position is above that giant grave. That should be the entrance, right? Mr. Monroe looked at Yan Chuan and smiled. Hearing Mr. Monroe's analysis, Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with admiration. Let's give it a try then. Everyone walked towards the giant grave in the Kun position. Although there were powerful attacks from the rabbit demons, Qing Long and the other 3 managed to block them. They reached the top of the giant grave in the Kun position. Under Mr. Monroe's request, Ding Wugu opened another entrance. However, Ding Wugu hid far away. He almost died just now. How would he dare to go forward now? Prince Yan, is it this one? Mo Yushi asked. I'm not sure. Yan Chuan shook his head. Then send a team in to take a look. Yang Zigu said calmly. The faces of the soldiers immediately darkened as they looked at Yang Zhizhou. Sending a group of people to their deaths? Yeah, you have so many people anyway. You have to send people in. Ding Wugu covered his blind eyes and said resentfully. Prince Yan, this entrance was opened by Ding Wugu. Do you think you should send a team in to take a look? Mo Yushi asked. All the cultivators closed in on Yan Chuan. All the soldiers clenched their fists and looked at the crowd coldly. Yan Chuan smiled and said, "Since you don't dare to, let me go first." "Everyone, follow me," Yan Chuan said calmly. "Yes." All the soldiers replied. At this moment, Yan Chuan had completely won the hearts of the 3,000 soldiers. Even if they had to die with him, the soldiers would not hesitate. Yan Chuan walked at the front. The 3,000 soldiers quickly went in. Ding Wugu, Yang Zigu, and the others all frowned as they watched. They went in. Ding Wugu was still in disbelief. Mr. Monroe stepped in. Yang Zigu followed closely behind Mr. Monroe. "Qing Long, you four can come back now." After speaking, Mo Yushi also went in. Whoosh! 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 Azure Dragon and the others quickly flew back. Ding Wugu had a complicated expression on his face as he walked in. Without the resistance of the four great powerhouses, the Yellow Springs Rabbit Devil's gaze landed on Ding Wugu. Ding Wugu stepped into it. The moment Ding Wugu stepped in, the entrance suddenly disappeared. A huge Wugu. Even though there were 3,000 soldiers in their way, it was still a place. When Yan Chuan and the others stepped into the entrance, they appeared here. However, the entrance from before had mysteriously disappeared. "Lord, the entrance is gone," Hu Guang said worriedly. "We're about to enter the inner formation. This feng shui formation only allows entry, not exit." Yan Chuan frowned. Everyone looked around. There were two large doors. The words Yin and Yang were written on each door. "Lord, there are two doors here. Shall we go in and take a look?" Hu Guang immediately called out. With a wave of his hand, Yan Chuan stopped Hu Guang. He narrowed his eyes and said, "This is a dead-end formation. It's easy to enter, but difficult to leave. If you go in, you'll find that the door you just entered has disappeared again." "Ah!" Hu Guang immediately stopped talking. "Then how do we go in?" Mo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan. "Only one of the two doors leads to the inner formation. The other door should be a cage. Once we enter, we'll be trapped inside. Unless the feng shui formation is completely broken," Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Chapter 69. Then, which door leads to the inner array? Mo Yushi asked. Yan Chuan shook his head and sighed. "I've only heard of this type of feng shui array, but I've never experienced how to break it." At this moment, Ding Wugu gave Yang Zigu a look. Then he gestured in a direction. Yang Zigu's expression changed. He immediately understood Ding Wugu's meaning, and a hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. "Since you don't know which door, let's split up. Yushi, you go through the Yin door, and I'll go through the Yang door," Yang Zigu said. Mo Yushi frowned slightly. "Prince Yan, you really can't tell?" Mo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan again. "No." Yan Chuan shook his head. "Ding Wugu, what about you?" Mo Yushi looked at Ding Wugu. Ding Wugu's eyes flashed with hatred again. Mo Yushi actually asked Yan Chuan first, and then asked him. Was he really not as good as him? "I can't tell." Ding Wugu shook his head. "What about Mr. Monroe?" Mo Yushi looked at Mr. Monroe. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly and shook his head. "All right, Rosefinch, Xuanwu." "Yes, sir." The two subordinates immediately responded. "You two are responsible for protecting Yang Gongzi," Mo Yushi ordered. "Yes, sir." The two immediately responded. "Qing Long, White Tiger, and Prince Yen, come with me," Mo Yushi said. "Okay." Yan Chuan nodded. "What about the army?" Ding Wugu looked at the 3,000 soldiers. A cold smile appeared on his face. "Wherever I go, they will naturally follow," Yan Chuan said in a low voice. The 3,000 soldiers could not be split up. If they went to Ding Wugu's side, that would be sending them to their deaths. "All right, cut the crap. Mr. Monroe is as talented as 100,000 soldiers. Mr. Monroe is with you. She said with a frown. Yes. Ding Wugu said solemnly. They split into two groups. Yan Chuan's army, Shi, Qing Long, and White Tiger entered the Yin Gate. Mr. Monroe, Yang Zigu, Ding Wugu, Rose Finch, and Xuanwu entered the Yang Gate. Boom! The door opened, and everyone entered one after another. Yan Chuan's group soon appeared in an even larger hall. Lord, the door behind us has disappeared again. Hua Guang gulped. It was an even bigger hall. The hall was dark, but he could vaguely see the silhouettes in the distance. Qing Long waved his hand, and a green light illuminated the entire hall. There's no exit. Qing Long's expression changed. This is a sealed hall. White Tiger's expression also darkened. This can't be. Yushi's expression darkened, and she turned to look at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan nodded lightly. No wonder they suggested to go through the Yang Gate. Ding Wugu must have sensed the entrance. Did he collude with Yang Zigu? Ding Wugu. Dwarfs. Damn it. Yushi immediately guessed everything, and she was extremely angry. Ah, what's that? A young soldier suddenly exclaimed. Everyone looked over. It was a green stone wall, and the wall was extremely smooth. However, on this smooth wall, a human face slowly and strangely appeared. It was a human face with a pained expression. Woo-woo! Eerie cries could be heard from the hall. Everyone's scalps went numb. However, this was just the beginning. Two more human faces appeared next to that human face. 80 more faces appeared. On the wall, human faces suddenly appeared one after another. Their expressions were different, but they were all crying in pain. In the blink of an eye, there were almost 10,000 human faces on the wall of the hall. The human faces were crying, and it was heart-wrenching. Everyone felt as if they were in hell, and they were filled with endless sorrow. Chapter 70. In the blink of an eye, there were close to 10,000 faces on the walls of the hall. Everyone felt as if they were in the underworld, filled with endless sorrow. Wang! Woo woo woo! Ah 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 ah! N. As soon as nearly 10,000 cries rang out, it immediately became extremely noisy and rushed straight to one's heart. Their emotions were infected and fragmented. Her sorrowful cries were filled with a myriad of different kinds of desolation, causing one's heart and mind to be stirred up. Some of the silver-armored soldiers immediately felt dizzy and swayed. Yan Chuan immediately realized that something was wrong with the silver armor army. Immovable mountain, solitary cobalt seal. Yan Chuan shouted. This shout contained a trace of the will of an emperor, and it suppressed the thousands of cries. The 3,000 soldiers suddenly woke up from the inexplicable sadness and quickly formed hand seals. As he silently recited the mantra, it was as if a ripple had spread out from the bottom of his heart. Instantly, all of his sadness and agitation were eliminated. Who? Long cries of lingering fear could be heard from the 3,000 soldiers. When they looked at the bitter faces on the wall again, they were all frightened. At the same time, they didn't dare to relax their hand seals in the slightest. Lord! Lu Jin looked at Yan Chuan worriedly. Yan Chuan gently shook his head, indicating that he would talk about it later. Qing Long's seal. Break! Qing Long shouted loudly. He formed a hand seal with his hand, and a green light emerged from the hand seal. It looked like a dragon, but it was not a dragon. He slammed into the wall. Boom! The Qing Long seal smashed into the wall and violently attacked. Immediately, a gust of wind blew, violently blowing past the 3,000 soldiers. Ta! Ta! The soldiers were pushed back by this powerful aura. How could this be? Qing Long, who was not far away, exclaimed. Everyone looked over. On the wall, there was only a hole with a radius of 1 zhang and a thickness of half a zhang. The powerful azure dragon seal had only caused such a small amount of damage. Not only that, the damaged wall was strangely recovering, and the hole was automatically filling up. Furthermore, the destroyed bitter face was strangely recovering as well. Big brother, your Qing Long seal can only cause so little damage. Moreover, the wall could recover automatically. Then when can it be broken? The white tiger said with an ugly expression. Prince Yen. Mou Shi looked anxiously at Yen Chuan. Taking a deep breath, Yen Chuan shook his head and said, "This cage has the support of the earth dragon vein. He can't open it. At the very least, I can't open it now." Prince Yen, you know this formation well, but how do you get out? I want to get out, I must get out. Mou Shi said anxiously. The feng shui master who set up this formation must have caught a nightmare demon from the netherworld. There's a nightmare demon hiding among the 34,000 bitter faces. Find the incubus and kill it. Yen Chuan did not hide anything. Then I'll destroy them one by one. 103,000 bitter faces? We'll destroy them all. Mou Shi said firmly. Shaking his head, Yen Chuan smiled bitterly and said, "The nightmare demon doesn't stay in a single bitter face. It can reside in any bitter face. You destroyed a bitter face, but it will soon recover because of the earth dragon vein. The nightmare demon will then be able to reside in the bitter face you eliminated. Prince Yen, I have my own difficulties. I must obtain the thing inside. Please help me break this cage. After this, I will reward you generously." Mou Shi said anxiously. Shaking his head, Yen Chuan smiled bitterly, "I'm telling the truth. I've never experienced this array before. I've only heard about it from others. It's impossible to break it. The only way is to wait for the incubus to find you and use that opportunity to find it." Chapter 71. Will it look for us? Mou Shi's eyes lit up. That's right, a nightmare. It can enter a person's dream and wantonly mess up the dream, creating fear and sadness. It feeds on the power of the wandering souls. I will let my officers and soldiers take turns to enter the land of dreams and do their best to search for the nightmare demon. As for you, Qing Long and White Tiger, it's best that you don't fall asleep. Yen Chuan thought for a moment and said. Why? Mou Shi asked curiously. Because your cultivation is too high. Yen Chuan said solemnly. You're worried that we'll be taken advantage of by the nightmare? Are you doubting our willpower? Mou Shi said in a low voice. Yen Chuan smiled, shook his head, and said nothing more. He turned around and looked at Huguang. Set up camp. Yes. Huguang quickly ordered the soldiers to put down the things they were carrying. Some of the soldiers carried the tents and quickly set them up. When they couldn't take it anymore, they would use the Akalanatha seal. When they calmed down, they would continue working. Mou Shi anxiously walked towards the wall and carefully looked at the bitter face on the wall, her eyes filled with anxiety. Qing Long, continue to destroy bitter face for me. Focus on bitter face and attack. Mou Shi said in a low voice. Yes. Qing Long replied. Boom. 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 Rumbling sounds came from the surrounding walls as Qing Long continuously destroyed the bitter face. However, the bitter face quickly recovered. On the other side, Yen Chuan's headquarters tent had already been set up. Yen Chuan ignored the outside world and led Huguang and Lu Jin inside. Lord! Are we going to be trapped here forever? Lu Jin asked worriedly. Yen Chuan nodded. I know what you're worried about. How much food do we have now? If the soldiers don't train with meat, the meat and water that we have with us can only last for about 10 days. Lu Jin said immediately. Then don't practice. For the next few days, pay attention when you are sleeping. Make sure that there is someone watching over everyone when they are sleeping. If someone has a nightmare, quickly use your inner energy to attack their glabella and wake them up. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Also, when you wake up from the nightmare, try to remember where the nightmare went when the dream disappeared. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Follow the direction he's pointing and shoot at the bitter face on the wall. Yes. Bring me my clothes. I want to change out of these bloody clothes. Yan Chuan ordered Lu Jin. 2 days later. Saintess, we've destroyed all the bitter faces, but we still haven't found the nightmare. Qin Long said with an ugly expression. I was too arrogant in the past. Mo Yushi smiled bitterly. Saintess, we don't practice feng shui. Saintess doesn't know feng shui, so don't belittle yourself. If you practice feng shui, even 10 feng shui masters can't compare to Saintess. White Tiger comforted. I know. Mo Yushi said helplessly. Qin Long, you've been fighting non-stop for the past 2 days. I think you must be tired. Rest with White Tiger. Mo Yushi looked at Qin Long. Yes. Qin Long and White Tiger rested at the side. Mo Yushi looked at the 3,000 soldiers. Most of the 3,000 soldiers were practicing military formations. Brothers, if you can't practice for the past few days, then practice this military formation. This is the fierce tiger formation that the Lord taught us. I'm sure everyone knows how powerful the Lord's teachings are. The Lord wants to lead us to a path to heaven. Do you want to walk with your heart? Hua Guang shouted. Yes. The soldiers shouted excitedly. Chapter 72. All of the soldiers understood what Yan Chuan meant. He wanted to lead the 3,000 soldiers on the path of cultivation. At this moment, all of them revealed looks of joy and appreciation. Good, then continue to practice. Hua Guang shouted. Yes. The morale of the soldiers was high. They practiced a set of formations that did not seem very profound, but the soldiers were extremely enthusiastic. Mo Yushi looked at this scene strangely. Ferocious tiger army formation. Then, Mo Yushi looked towards the central tent. Mo Yushi was silent for a while. After a while, she took a deep breath and walked towards the central tent. Inside the central tent. Lord, no one has had nightmares these 2 days. Lu Jin said respectfully. This incubus is really cunning. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Lord, Miss Mo requests an audience. A soldier reported from outside the tent. Oh? Let her in. Yan Chuan said in surprise. Yes. Very quickly, Mo Yushi stepped into the tent. Prince Yan. Mo Yushi smiled. Miss Mo. Yan Chuan looked at Mo Yushi. Can I talk to you alone? Mo Yushi's expression became serious. Lu Jin, you can leave first. Yan Chuan turned and said. Yes. Lu Jin respectfully left the tent. Miss Mo, please. Yan Chuan invited Mo Yushi to sit at a table. Mo Yushi nodded. There was a pot of tea on the table. Yan Chuan poured 2 cups. It's just some tea, please forgive me. Yan Chuan handed over a cup of tea. It's already very good. Mo Yushi gladly accepted it. Miss Mo, what do you want to discuss? Yan Chuan looked towards Mo Yushi. Mo Yushi looked outside the tent and frowned slightly. I've observed the 3,000 soldiers outside. You're looking for meat for them, teaching them seals and military formations. Are you trying to lead them onto the path of cultivation? Why not? Yan Chuan smiled. Many cultivators can't even gather enough resources for their own cultivation, and you want to bring 3,000 burdens with you? That's an incalculable amount of resources. Do you have that much? As far as I know, you have nothing, right? Moreover, even if we spend a lot of resources to help them reach the elite realm, so what? Their strength will still be at the bottom. To high-level cultivators, it's nothing. Just like your 3,000 soldiers, they can't compare to one Qin Long. Instead of splitting the resources and creating a bunch of burdens, why not gather the resources and create a few strong followers? Mo Yushi asked curiously. Yan Chuan looked at Mo Yushi and smiled. 3,000 soldiers? Was that a lot? In Yan Chuan's eyes, it was not a lot. Mo Yushi could not see Yan Chuan's grand ambitions now. 3,000 low-level cultivators. Yan Chuan had great uses for them. Resources. With an army in hand, why worry about not having enough resources? This is my family's matter. Miss Mo, you shouldn't worry too much. Yan Chuan said lightly. Mo Yushi did not know whether to laugh or cry. She tried to persuade him out of goodwill, but this was the reply she got. After drinking a mouthful of tea, Mo Yushi's expression became serious. She thought for a while. Yan Chuan waited quietly. Prince Yan, do you really have no way to break this cage? Mo Yushi's eyes showed a trace of desire. Yan Chuan shook his head. I didn't hide this from you. Mo Yushi smiled bitterly and said slowly, I know that it was wrong of us to let you be our guide. I really wanted to get the item in the formation too much. I'm really sorry about what happened before. Please forgive me. Yan Chuan could hear the sincerity in Mo Yushi's words. Mo Yushi's attitude seemed to have changed slightly in this adversity. She was no longer as high and mighty as before. Chapter 73. Her change in attitude and humility made Yan Chuan feel a lot better. Yan Chuan smiled in satisfaction. Since we've talked about it, I don't want to hide it from you anymore. There's a Myriad Wonders demonic lotus sealed in this feng shui formation. The objective of our trip is that Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. Mo Yushi explained. Myriad Wonders demonic lotus? Yan Chuan raised an eyebrow. What? You've heard of it? Mo Yushi asked in surprise. I've heard of the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. It's an extremely evil item that contained even immortals. The Myriad Wonders demonic lotus is sealed in this formation. No wonder it needs so many dragon veins to seal it. Yan Chuan said in thought. Myriad Wonders demonic lotus? Yushi has never heard of it. I only learned about it not long ago. Mo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan strangely. One had to know that Mo Yushi had a high status. She could read all kinds of books in her sect, but she had never seen anything like the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus or the 1,000 Wonders demonic lotus. She had only heard about it from someone with a high status not long ago. However, Yan Chuan was only 17 or 18 years old, right? How did he know about the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus? I only learned about it by chance. Yan Chuan smiled but didn't explain. Mo Yushi didn't ask any more questions. I don't know what the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus can do, and I don't want to know. I just want it. It's very important to me. Prince Yan, please help me. Mo Yushi pleaded. Yan Chuan frowned. Prince Yan is very knowledgeable. I'm sure you've guessed my identity from Mr. Monroe and the others' conversation, right? Mo Yushi smiled wryly. They call you Saintess. Yan Chuan nodded. I'm the Holy Lady of the Great Revelation Sacred Ground. My father fought for this title for me when he was still alive. He was once a Tao Lord of the Great Revelation Sacred Ground. Unfortunately, he was killed by a scoundrel. Mo Yushi bit her lips as she recalled, her eyes slightly moist. It was clear that her father's death had a great impact on Mo Yushi. Back then, when I was 16, I suddenly heard that my father had passed away. I thought that the sky had collapsed. In the past, I was the most mischievous saintess of the Great Revelation Holy Ground. When my father was alive, I could laugh and cry loudly. I could cause trouble for no reason. I could tease everyone. When my father passed away, I was sad and could only hide in the corner of the room and cry secretly. I didn't dare to cry in front of others. I didn't dare to laugh out loud because I knew that many people were waiting for me to make a fool of myself. In the past, I was suppressed by my father. After my father died, they would definitely take revenge on me. I can only be careful and use my identity as the saintess to constantly protect myself. I won't let myself be hurt and lose face for my father. Hearing Imo Yushi's narration, Yan Chuan was also slightly moved. Sacred ground? That was a huge sect. The internal relationships would definitely be complicated. One could imagine how a 16-year-old girl had slowly persevered after losing her father. Using a silk handkerchief to wipe her tears, Imo Yushi forced a smile and said, "Every time I mention my father, it's as if he's still alive. I said I wouldn't mention my father. Sorry, I forgot myself. It's nothing. Miss Imo is still a sentimental person." Yan Chuan consoled. Gently shaking her head, Imo Yushi smiled bitterly and said, "Sentimental person? Ha, I also wish that I didn't want to be the saintess. That way, I could laugh and cry without restraint. But I can't do it. I can no longer remove the identity of the saintess. The identity of the saintess is the best protection. Once you're no longer the saintess, your father's old enemies will definitely surround and kill you." Yan Chuan nodded. "When I was 20, Mohina Dojin, who is Yang Ziga's father, killed the people who killed my father. He defended the dignity of the Dajiao's sacred ground and also avenged my father. I owe him this favor." Imo Yushi said with a frown. "You want to obtain the 10,000 wonders bewitching lotus just to return this favor?" Yan Chuan asked doubtfully. "Yes, the Dajiao's sacred ground has complicated internal relationships. Mohina Dojin, he..." Imo Yushi's eyes revealed a trace of fear. "Mohina Dojin can't come here. He really wants this 10,000 wonders bewitching lotus. I must use this opportunity to return this favor. If I don't return it now, it might be 100 times, 1,000 times in the future. It might even ruin my life. I don't want to drag this out any longer. Prince Yan, please help me." Imo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan with great sincerity. Looking at Imo Yushi's pitiful expression, Yan Chuan's eyes gradually softened. "Lord!" Lu Jin's voice came from outside the tent, interrupting their thoughts. "Come in," Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Lu Jin quickly entered and looked at Imo Yushi with a strange expression. "What's the matter?" Yan Chuan asked doubtfully. "Lord, Qinglong and White Tiger are fighting," Lu Jin said with a puzzled expression. "What? Impossible." Imo Yushi immediately stood up. Chapter 74. "Lord, that Qinglong and White Tiger are fighting," Lu Jin said in confusion. "What? Impossible." Imo Yushi immediately stood up. Imo Yushi wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and rushed out. Yan Chuan looked at Lu Jin strangely. Yan Chuan also remembered that Qinglong and White Tiger were close brothers. "Fighting?" Lu Jin nodded affirmatively. "Let's go." Yan Chuan stepped out of the tent. The moment he stepped out of the tent, a strong gust of wind blew past. Yan Chuan's clothes fluttered in the wind. 3,000 soldiers stood guard outside the tent, led by Huaguang. His spear was pointed in a direction far away. The gust of wind blew against everyone's armor, making clang-clang sounds. Imo Yushi stood at the front, looking into the distance with a serious expression. Yan Chuan stepped forward and also looked into the distance. In the distance, where the gust of wind came from, White Tiger and Qinglong were confronting each other. Both of them struck out with their palms, pushing each other back and forth. White Tiger's back was facing everyone. They could vaguely see Qinglong's face. Qinglong's face was ferocious, revealing a strong evil intent. "Big brother, what are you doing? What's wrong?" White Tiger asked anxiously. "Get lost!" Qinglong scolded angrily. "Your Highness, it's over there." For some reason, the White Tiger and the Azure Dragon suddenly started fighting. Huaguang immediately came forward to report. Something's not right. Yen Chuan's expression froze. At the same time, Mo Yushi squinted her eyes. Essence Qi clone. What is Qing Long trying to do? Mo Yushi asked seriously. Qing Long's body was emitting a large amount of violent green smoke. Behind Qing Long, in the corner, there was a vague figure sitting. I see it. Why is there another person? Lu Jin was shocked. No, that's Qing Long. The one sitting in the corner is Qing Long, but the one fighting White Tiger is also Qing Long. Why are there two Qing Longs? Hua Guang immediately shouted. Lord. Lu Jin looked at Yen. It's Qing Long. The one sleeping in the corner is Qing Long's real body. The one fighting White Tiger is only Qing Long's essence Qi clone. Yen Chuan explained. Lord, what's an essence Qi clone? Hua Guang was puzzled. Your cultivation is not high enough now. When you cultivate Qi into spirit, you can use your essence Qi and will to form a clone. You can defend against external enemies for a short time, Yen Chuan explained. Ah! Clone? Hua Guang's eyes flashed with excitement. The world of practitioners was indeed very exciting. Hua Guang's eyes were full of yearning. However, Qing Long's current state is different. His essence Qi clone is being controlled. Yen Chuan's eyes turned cold. You're being controlled? Mo Yushi immediately turned her head. The incubus you've been looking for finally couldn't wait any longer. He found Qing Long. Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes. Incubus? Mo Yushi's eyes lit up. Qing Long must have fallen asleep just now. The incubus took advantage of the situation and created a terrifying dreamland for Qing Long. At the same time, he tricked Qing Long into using his essence Qi to form an essence Qi clone. He controlled the essence Qi clone. Yen Chuan said with certainty. Prince Yen, the incubus appeared. Can we? Mo Yushi suddenly looked at Yen Chuan with joy. Yes, it depends on Qing Long. If he can wake up from the dream, with his ability, he should be able to destroy the incubus. However, he can't realize that he's dreaming. It's too difficult. Yen Chuan said worriedly. You're not Big Brother. White Tiger Palm pushed Qing Long's essence Qi clone. Chapter 75. Ha 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 ha. Qing Long's doppelganger laughed, his eyes filled with madness. However, the two of them did not fight with all their might. White Tiger was fighting because of their brotherhood, but Qing Long seemed to be waiting for something. What's behind us? Lu Jin exclaimed. In the corner of the room, the sleeping azure dragon's body suddenly emitted waves of azure light. Large amounts of green aura came out of his pores. The green aura gradually condensed into a human figure. The form of the aura became clearer and clearer. It was another Qing Long's doppelganger, an aura doppelganger. As for the sleeping Qing Long's body, after the aura leaked out of his pores, his face turned pale. He even seemed to have withered. However, even so, he did not wake up. The nightmare wants to suck out all of Qing Long's aura. Mo Yushi's face darkened. Big Brother. White Tiger's face changed as he shouted. Ha ha ha. Number one's doppelganger, who was pushing White Tiger, laughed. Open. Number one's doppelganger suddenly exerted force. Boom. A powerful aura surged out, and under the tremendous force, the White Tiger was knocked away. The powerful aura formed waves of air that blew towards the 3,000 silver armor guards. Number one's doppelganger knocked White Tiger away and punched out. His fist shone with green light and a 10-foot fist aura smashed towards White Tiger. It was unstoppable. Roar! White Tiger's face changed, and he also punched out. Boom! The two of them collided head-on, instantly forming a ferocious shockwave. Big Brother, wake up! White Tiger Jiaohu said. With me here, no one can wake him up. Ha ha ha. Number one's doppelganger laughed and stood in front of White Tiger. Number 1's doppelganger fought White Tiger. A large amount of wind blew out from their battle, and waves of air raged. The newly born second doppelganger of Qing Long looked in Yan Chuan's direction with a sinister smile. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, number 2's doppelganger left behind an afterimage and appeared not far away from them. Not good. Mo Yushi's expression changed as she stepped forward. With a flip of her hand, a folding fan appeared in Mo Yushi's palm. As he activated it, a white light suddenly gushed out from the folding fan and crashed toward Qing Long's second clone. Boom! Doppelganger number 2 retreated and Mo Yushi's fan was also knocked back. White Tiger, capture Qing Long's clone. Mo Yushi's eyes turned cold as she shouted. Yes! The White Tiger shouted from afar. Capture? Why don't you think about yourselves instead? The second doppelganger stood in front of Mo Yushi and laughed. As he spoke, the second doppelganger's aura flared up, and a strong wind blew. It was like the source of a storm, spewing out endless wind power. Ta-ta-ta-ta. The powerful storm forced the 3,000 soldiers to retreat. Mo Yushi turned to look at the 3,000 soldiers who were staggering and her expression changed. Incubus, get out of Qing Long's body. Mo Yushi swung her folding fan again. The folding fan expanded to 10 feet in size and smashed down with a loud bang. White light shot out in all directions. Boom! 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 The ground rumbled. Mo Yushi was taking care of the 3,000 soldiers. She quickly lured doppelganger number 2 away and away from the 3,000 soldiers. Young Master Yen, I'll have to trouble you to wake up Qing Long. Mo Yushi called out from afar. With these ants? Ha ha ha. Doppelganger number 2 said disdainfully. Mo Hai Lan. Mo Yushi shouted. Break for me. Doppelganger number 2 shot out endless green light again. Lord, Qing Long's doppelganger is stronger than Lady Mo and White Tiger. Hua Guang said in surprise. Chapter 76. Yan Chuan shook his head. No, Qing Long's doppelganger was controlled by the incubus. The incubus didn't care about the consequences, while White Tiger and Miss Mo didn't want to destroy Qing Long's doppelganger. They only wanted to capture it. One didn't care about the consequences, while the other cared too much about the consequences. Thus, the current situation was created. Then what should we do? Should we wake Qing Long up? Hua Guang asked anxiously. Yes, this incubus isn't simple. He actually controlled 2 Qing Long's doppelganger consecutively. This means that Qing Long isn't a match for the incubus in the dream realm. He won't be able to wake up on his own. Yan Chuan said with certainty. As they spoke, everyone looked at Qing Long's main body in the corner again. On Qing Long's main body, wisps of green qi were slowly seeping out of his pores. Not good, his qi is leaking again. Lord, he's going to form a third qi doppelganger. Lu Jin's expression changed. Let's go. Yan Chuan said with a serious expression. Braving the wind, Yan Chuan took the lead and walked towards Qing Long in the distance. The 3,000 soldiers followed closely behind him. The wind was biting cold, but the 3,000 soldiers formed a human wall and walked forward with difficulty. At this moment, the green qi coming out of Qing Long's pores had already enveloped Qing Long. It seemed to have formed a large cover around Qing Long's body. Break! Yan Chuan shouted. Yes! Hua Guang replied. Hua Guang stretched out his hand. Silver light shot out from his fist. It smashed towards the qi cover with a loud bang. Boom! Hua Guang was sent flying by the recoil. Milord! The soldiers quickly caught Hua Guang, who was sent flying back. However, the qi cover didn't tremble at all. In the distance, White Tiger and Mo Yushi were also paying attention. Seeing that Hua Guang couldn't even move the slightest bit of his spiritual essence, his face immediately changed. Ha ha ha, a bunch of ants overestimating themselves. When the third doppelganger comes out, none of those ants will be able to live. The two Essence Chi doppelganger laughed out loud. Mo Yushi's face turned cold. At the same time, Mo Yushi's pores also slowly opened, and wisps of white essence leaked out. You want to create a clone too? Don't even think about it. Qing Long's doppelganger's expression immediately changed. The aura around his body was pushed to its peak, as if he didn't care about the leakage of his essence chi. He charged towards Mo Yushi, immediately stopping Mo Yushi's doppelganger. On the other side, the battle between White Tiger and Qing Long's doppelganger number 1 was also getting more and more intense. At a corner, those at LV6 of the Power Realm, attack! Hua Guang shouted. Yes, sir. The group of young generals answered loudly. The space wasn't big, so only 8 people could attack at the same time at most. Hua Guang and the 7 young generals punched the Essence Chi shield at the same time. Boom! The 8 of them were sent flying again, but the Essence Chi shield only trembled a little. More and more Essence Chi leaked out, and Qing Long's face was close to turning gray. The Essence Chi was even slowly condensing into a human shape. Lord, the third doppelganger is about to form. What should we do? Hua Guang said with a pale face. Once the third doppelganger is formed, we'll be the first to bear the brunt of it. Lu Jin was also extremely worried. Once the third doppelganger was formed, it would be able to attack on its own. Who would be a match for it then? Maybe it could destroy 3,000 soldiers with a flip of its hand. Lu Jin couldn't help but worry. I'll do it, Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. As he spoke, Yan Chuan took a step forward. At this moment, the new Essence Chi was becoming more and more concrete, and the outline of a human was gradually forming. Ants! I'll destroy you all right now. The blurry Essence Chi doppelganger sneered. Chapter 77. A powerful aura pressed down on everyone. It made everyone feel as if they couldn't resist it. Dang! Dang! The sound of spears stabbing into the ground could be heard. The 3,000 soldiers were trying their best to resist the powerful aura, trying their best not to be pushed down. Facing such a powerful aura, Yan Chuan didn't seem to be affected. When he took a step forward, Yan Chuan opened his eyes wide. Yan Chuan's emperor's will from his previous life burst out through his eyes. Boom! The emperor's will was like the heavens. Ong! Vaguely, a dragon's roar could be heard. The dragon's roar was loud and resonant. The blurry doppelganger suddenly seemed to see a golden dragon head that was 30 meters long. The dragon's horns were lofty, its eyes were furious, its whiskers were majestic, and its mouth was vast. Ong! The golden dragon followed Yan Chuan's will and let out a furious roar. The huge dragon roar caused the vague clone to tremble violently. How? The vague clone's voice seemed to be stuck in his throat. Under the huge dragon's aura, he couldn't say anything. Ong! The dragon roar was long. As long as Yan Chuan didn't withdraw his will, it would continue to suppress the vague clone. The vague clone trembled more and more violently. Yan Chuan's will seemed to want to completely disperse the vague clone. How is this possible? The first clone, who was fighting with the White Tiger, suddenly turned around. The second clone, who was fighting with Mo Yushi, also turned around and looked at Yan Chuan in shock. Mortal, he's just a mortal. The second clone said in disbelief. The second clone stepped forward and was about to rush towards Yan Chuan. Who? A figure suddenly blocked in front of him. It was Mo Yushi. Leave? You won't be able to leave. Mo Yushi sneered. While blocking the second clone, Mo Yushi also glanced at Yan Chuan. Her eyes flashed with surprise. Although she didn't know what the vague clone saw, Mo Yushi understood that it was definitely a willpower attack. Yan Chuan's willpower? Why was Yan Chuan's willpower so strong? It was actually able to suppress the vague clone? Yan Chuan's image in Mo Yushi's mind became more and more vague. Just how capable was he? On the other side, the white tiger was also surprised, but it also quickly stopped the first clone. He waited for Yan Chuan to wake Azure Dragon up. The viciousness in Yan Chuan's eyes grew heavier and heavier. At the same time, the impact of his willpower grew stronger and stronger as it ruthlessly suppressed the blurry doppelganger. Boom! Bastard! The vague clone dispersed. It finally couldn't withstand the impact and was dispersed by Yan Chuan's willpower. However, Yan Chuan's willpower attack didn't stop. Instead, he stared at the green essence and his eyes became sharper. He took a step forward and with a great majesty, he used his willpower to force the green essence back into Qing Long's pores and back into Qing Long's body. In the distance, Mo Yushi and the white tiger instantly revealed a grateful expression. The essence that leaked out could be retrieved. However, if Yan Chuan didn't do anything now, the essence would disperse and Qing Long's vitality would be greatly damaged. Now that it was forced back into his body, even if he was still injured, his vitality wouldn't be damaged. As long as he recuperated, he would be able to recover. With every step that Yan Chuan took, a portion of the essence would be forced back into Qing Long's body. With every step that he took, the essence in the outside world became less and less. When the 3,000 soldiers saw Yan Chuan force back the essence, their faces all flushed red and their hearts surged with admiration. Yan Chuan finally walked in front of Qing Long facing the sleeping Qing Long. Yan Chuan's finger flickered with golden light and pointed at Qing Long's forehead. Wake up! Yan Chuan shouted. Chapter 78. Wake up! Yan Chuan shouted. Boom! Qing Long shuddered. Phew! As soon as he opened his eyes, Qing Long shuddered and immediately met Yan Chuan's eyes and Yan Chuan's will. Yan Chuan's will was a dragon-shaped emperor's will. The moment he opened his eyes, Qing Long immediately saw a huge golden dragon. Towering and angry, it looked down on all living things. Hiss! Qing Long took a deep breath and his eyes shone brightly. Then, he was stunned. Phew! Yan Chuan let out a long sigh. The light in his eyes returned to normal and he retracted his will. His face instantly turned pale. Thump thump. Yan Chuan took 2 steps back as if he couldn't stand properly. Lord! Lu Jin and the others quickly rushed forward. Now that the Azure Dragon had awakened, the powerful pressure had also disappeared. The 3,000 soldiers immediately felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. I'm fine. Yan Chuan shook his head and smiled bitterly. At this moment, Yan Chuan's face was ghastly pale as if he was about to collapse. A bitter smile appeared on his face as he said, most experts' willpower can't keep up with their bodies. However, my willpower almost broke through my body. A strong will and a weak body. Yan Chuan didn't know if he should be happy or sad. After a round of suppression, Yan Chuan was weakened by his own will. On the other side, the moment Qing Long woke up, the 2 essence Qi clones suddenly stopped moving. The white tiger stopped in its tracks, slightly startled. He's awake. Mo Yushi's eyes lit up. Big brother. White tiger immediately flew over. Mo Yushi also walked over. Don't disturb him. Yan Chuan suddenly stopped the 2. At this moment, Qing Long stood there in a daze as if he was thinking about something. What's wrong with Big Brother? Isn't he awake? White Tiger was puzzled. Mo Yushi immediately saw Qing Long's state. In a moment of panic, she wanted to call out to Qing Long, but when the words reached her mouth, they turned into a soft sigh and she gave up. Qing Long has been enlightened. Mo Yushi sighed. Sudden enlightenment? That's great. The white tiger's face lit up. But when she turned around and saw Mo Yushi's disappointed expression, she immediately understood. Saintess, this. Many thanks for the Saintess' help. White Tiger said sincerely. White Tiger was well aware of the reason why she wanted to find Nightmare. Now that she had awakened Qing Long, there was a high chance that she would know where Nightmare had escaped to. However, she gave up on that idea. Her subordinate's epiphany was hard to come by. She would rather not find Nightmare than ruin Qing Long's epiphany. White Tiger was touched by the way she treated her subordinate. Only such a saintess was worthy of his sincere following. Prince Yen, are you alright? She looked at Yen Chuan. At this moment, she looked at Yen Chuan again. She did not know what to feel. The shock that Yen Chuan brought to she was stronger each time. I'm a little mentally and physically exhausted. I'll be fine after some rest. Yen Chuan shook his head. Many thanks, Prince Yen. She bowed to Yen Chuan solemnly. Don't you want to know why? Yen Chuan asked with a smile. Looking at Yen Chuan, she nodded and said, Yushi obviously wants to know, but Prince Yen just saved Qing Long. Yushi is indebted to him. As long as Prince Yen does not want to say, I will not ask. White Tiger immediately nodded in agreement. Since that is the case, I hope the three of you can keep it a secret. Yen Chuan smiled. Definitely. She said solemnly. However, her gaze towards Yen Chuan became even brighter. Prince Yen saved my brother, which means he saved me. White Tiger will not tell anyone about what happened today. White Tiger patted his chest and promised. Chapter 79. Many thanks. Yen Chuan nodded. At this moment, Qing Long's body emitted bursts of green light again. In the distance, the two Essence Chi clones flew over quickly and arrived in front of Qing Long in the blink of an eye. They gradually turned into Essence Chi and surrounded Qing Long. Qing Long formed a seal with his hand. The Essence Chi around his body condensed again and gradually condensed into a Tenjiang Long Azure Dragon. The Azure Dragon became clearer and clearer until it finally looked like a real dragon with distinct edges. Although it was not as domineering as Yen Chuan's will of the Golden Dragon, it was still vivid and lifelike. White Tiger's eyes shone with surprise. Roar! The Azure Divine Dragon suddenly let out a dragon's roar. The dragon's roar was filled with boundless joy. Boom! The Azure Dragon formed from Essence Chi rushed into Qing Long's body. Qing Long withdrew his aura. Congratulations Big Brother for completely comprehending the Qing Long technique. You have condensed Qing Long. White Tiger congratulated. She also looked satisfied. The Azure Dragon returned to normal. Naturally, his face was filled with joy. Suddenly, Qing Long bowed respectfully to Yen Chuan. Many thanks, Prince Yen. You were able to comprehend the dragon's form because of your comprehension ability. Yen Chuan smiled. No, this one cultivated the Qing Long technique. The dragon form I condensed was similar to a dragon but not a dragon. However, I was unable to completely condense it because this one has never seen a real dragon. It was really difficult just by imagining it. If not for Prince Yen, I don't know how long I would have to wait. Qing Long said sincerely. That is your good fortune. Yen Chuan smiled. Qing Long was only at the last step in condensing the dragon form. Yen Chuan's will of the Golden Dragon was only a catalyst, so Yen Chuan did not claim any credit. That's not all. If it weren't for Prince Yen, I might have been drained by the nightmare. I can't thank you enough. In the future, if you need my help, just let me know. Qing Long said solemnly. This is too serious. It's nothing serious. It's what I should do. Qing Long immediately smiled. Yen Chuan gently nodded. I'm not feeling well. I'll take a rest first. I won't disturb you. Yen Chuan said weakly. Prince Yen was injured because of me. Is there anything I can do to help? I have a heart-nourishing pill here. Qing Long immediately said. There's no need for that. I'll be fine after some rest. Yen Chuan smiled. Saintess, about the demonic deer we killed last time, can you? Qing Long looked at Mo Yushi expectantly. I'll leave it to you. Mo Yushi nodded. She reached out her hand and waved her sleeve. A huge block of ice appeared in front of everyone. It was obvious that Mo Yushi also had a spatial treasure. Inside the block of ice, there was a 3-foot-tall giant deer. The giant deer was majestic and colorful. Unfortunately, the giant deer was only a corpse. It was sealed inside the block of ice. This is a Peak Chi Jing Deer King. I hope that Prince Yen will accept it. Qing Long said solemnly. Peak Chi Jing Deer King. Yen Chuan raised his eyebrows. The demonic beasts he ate before were of the lowest level, only Chi Jing Deer King. But the demonic Deer King in front of him was a whole level higher than Chi Jing Deer King. Demonic beasts had a hard time cultivating. Most of them focused on cultivating their body. Therefore, with each level of cultivation, the yuan qi accumulated in their body would increase exponentially. Peak Chi Jing Deer King. Alright, Hua Guang, take it. This giant Deer King will be divided among the 3,000 soldiers. Hurry up and cultivate. Yen Chuan nodded. Yes. Hua Guang said excitedly. The Qi Jing Deer King had already benefited Hua Guang a lot. How much more powerful would the Qi Jing Deer King be? Moreover, the Qi Jing Deer King was at the peak of the Qi Jing Deer King. I'll share the deer meat for you. Qing Long immediately volunteered. Chapter 80. Monsters at the peak of Qi Jing had extremely thick skin. Even a group of mortals would not be able to cut it open. Yen Chuan nodded. Yen Chuan left the rest to the others. Lu Jin escorted him back to the main tent. Although the giant deer was huge, there were many soldiers. Even so, each soldier was given 1 or 2 kilograms of deer meat. This was not ordinary deer meat. It was full of qi and blood and profound qi. 1 or 2 kilograms of deer meat had to be eaten dozens of times before it would not affect the body. Saintess, I was in a state of epiphany and forgot. Qing Long was ashamed. You can't be blamed for entering a state of selflessness. I'm glad that you were able to do it. Mo Yushi shook her head. But Azure Dragon was still a little ashamed. Don't worry. Mr. Monroe may be an expert, but he won't be able to break the formation in a short time. As for Ding Wugu, that half-baked feng shui master, he will only cause more trouble. Mo Yushi shook her head. But we still have Prince Yen. Maybe Prince Yen can really help me. Mo Yushi sighed. Yes. Qing Long did not say anything else. Mo Yushi looked at the main tent. She thought for a while and walked towards it again. Soon, she arrived outside the main tent. Lu Jin just came out from inside. Miss Mo. Lu Jin bowed slightly. How is Prince Yen? Mo Yushi asked with concern. The Lord ate a few fasting pills and fell asleep. Lu Jin said. Can I see? Mo Yushi asked. Lu Jin frowned and remained silent for a while. After all, Mo Yushi's request was a bit rude. Miss Mo, don't wake the Lord. Lu Jin thought for a while and finally said. Lu Jin wanted to stop her, but she gave up in the end. She knew that with Mo Yushi's ability, it would be easy for her to see the state of the Lord. It would be better for her to take a look under her watch. Thank you. Mo Yushi nodded. They entered the main tent. In the tent, Yen Chuan was sleeping on a mahogany bed. He was sleeping peacefully. Saintess? Qing Long was confused. Young Master Yan's mind and willpower are greatly consumed. Mo Yushi sighed slightly. It's my fault. If I didn't fall asleep, I wouldn't have fallen for the nightmare. Qing Long blamed himself. Sleeping? Mo Yushi's expression changed. Mo Yushi. Lu Jin, I want to put another bed in the tent. Lu Jin was slightly stunned. I want to enter the dream and catch the nightmare. She said with certainty. Saintess, you can't. You don't know you're a guest in the dream. Saintess, don't make the same mistake as your subordinate. Qing Long immediately shouted. She shook her head and said, I've already made up my mind. There's no need to persuade me. Yes. Qing Long and White Tiger were helpless. Lu Jin said strangely, Miss Mo, I want to know why you want to do it here. Prince Yan's willpower is strong and his talent is extraordinary. This also means that his Yin spirit is strong. It's even stronger than Qing Long's. Qing Long can attract the nightmare when he falls asleep. If Prince Yan falls asleep, the nightmare won't let him go. If I enter the dream, I might be able to help Prince Yan not be troubled by the nightmare. She explained. Ah. The nightmare will find the Lord? Lu Jin's expression changed. Alright, I'll have to trouble Miss Mo. However, can the two of them dream together? Lu Jin asked strangely. Yes, I've heard that some feng shui arrays can do it. The nightmare, as the creator of dreams, will definitely be able to do it. Qing Long, White Tiger, if anything happens to me, wake me up immediately. She ordered. Yes. They quickly placed a large mahogany bed in the tent, opposite Yan Chuan. She took a calming pill, closed her eyes, and slowly entered the dream. Seeing that Yan Chuan and she had both fallen asleep, everyone slowly left the tent. The moment everyone exited the tent, a voice rang out. A human face slowly floated up from the ground between the two beds. The face revealed a mournful expression. The Yin spirit that was about to enter my mouth was disturbed by you. This time, none of you can leave. The face on the ground revealed a trace of coldness. Swoosh! Yan Chuan entered the dream while he was asleep. In the dream, Yan Chuan was surrounded by people. Yan Chuan stood in the middle, thinking hard about something. Who am I? Why am I here? Yan Chuan thought vaguely. Chapter 81. In the Dreamland. Who am I? Why am I here? Yan Chuan thought in a daze. Around him was a large hall. In the hall, there were two old men standing on the left and right, surrounded by a large number of laughing guests. Yan Chuan stood in the middle of the hall in his groom's robe. Beside him stood the bride with a veil over her head. Who am I? Yan Chuan tried to recall. However, no matter how hard Yan Chuan tried, he couldn't remember. It's time for the wedding ceremony. Why are the bride and groom standing still? The bride and groom must be so happy. They forgot to do something. Young Master Yan is so lucky to marry the #1 beauty of Dream Nation, Miss Mo. What a perfect match. Young Master Yan, Miss Mo, you're a match made in heaven. The guests around them were noisy, and there were waves of blessings. Through these blessings, the two newlyweds vaguely understood who they were. The sudden memory loss could make people accept their identity quickly. It was like a dry sponge suddenly meeting water. It was quickly absorbed and a new identity was quickly confirmed. In the dream, everyone thought that everything was real. Bride and groom, it's time for the wedding ceremony. Hurry! The MC at the side immediately woke the couple up. Yes! Yan Chuan and She both nodded and agreed in their daze. First bow to heaven and earth. The MC shouted. Yan Chuan and She bowed to heaven and earth subconsciously. Second bow to your parents. The MC shouted. The two turned around and bowed respectfully to the two old men. Old Master Yan is so lucky. Yes, Old Master Yan, Old Madam Yan, you'll have grandchildren soon. The blessings around them made the two old men smile from ear to ear. Good, good. Husband and wife, bow to each other. The MC shouted again. Yan Chuan and She faced each other. With a trace of confusion and joy, the two of them bowed to each other. As they bowed, the two of them felt an inexplicable tug at their hearts. The ceremony is complete. The master of ceremonies shouted. Crackle. Firecrackers suddenly sounded. Congratulations. Congratulations to the newlywed for giving birth to a child. The entire auditorium was filled with noise, congratulations, and joy. Send them to the bridal chamber. The master of ceremonies shouted. Under the protection of a group of servants, the newlyweds gradually left the scene. Everyone, let's start the feast. Old Master Yen called out. Instantly, the atmosphere became even more lively. Yen Chuan and Mo Yushi were led into the bridal chamber. The bride is waiting. The groom should go and toast his friends and family. The MC explained. Okay. Mo Yushi and Yen Chuan agreed in a daze. After the groom left, the servants accompanied the bride in the bridal chamber. Miss, congratulations. The servant immediately congratulated. Mo Yushi was still a little confused. Miss, Prince Yen is a good person. You finally got what you wanted. The Yen family has been practicing medicine for generations, and Miss, our family has been a medicine merchant for generations. What a match made in heaven. The servant said happily. Yes. Mo Yushi nodded. She seemed to have an impression of it, but it was also the first time she heard of it. Outside, a servant accompanied Yen Chuan. Young master, this is your uncle. Let's toast to him first. Uncle is the assistant minister of the Ministry of Rights. He often helps us. The servant introduced. Okay. Yen Chuan nodded. After a round of toasting, Yen Chuan got to know everyone in the family. Chapter 82. With a hint of drunkenness, Yen Chuan was sent back to the bridal chamber by his friends and relatives. What a perfect match. The bride is really beautiful. No one in the Great Dream Dynasty can compare to her. Young Master Yen is really lucky. I heard that the current crown prince wants to take the bride as his concubine, but the difference is too big. The court opposed it, so it didn't happen. The banquet continued, and the discussions were endless. And in a corner of the banquet. In the corner, there was a person in a black robe. The hood of the black robe covered his head, and even his face couldn't be seen. His attire was extremely strange, but the people around him didn't think anything of it. The higher you climb, the worse you fall. The happier I'll make you all, the scarier the nightmare will be. You want to catch me? In the dream world, I'm the ruler. I'll break your hearts, I'll make you lose all hope. He. The black-robed figure laughed sinisterly. The black-robed figure was naturally the creator of the dream, the incubus. The incubus designed the dream world, and this was just the beginning. In the bridal chamber. The bride sat by the bed, and the groom walked in, slightly drunk. Wife! I'm here. Yen Chuan revealed a blissful smile. The bride was filled with anticipation and happiness. Wife, I'll lift your veil. Yen Chuan said gently. As he spoke, he gently lifted the veil. Once the veil was lifted, a devastatingly beautiful face was revealed. Yen Chuan stared at this face and was slightly dazed. Wife, you're so beautiful. Husband. Mo Yushi whispered with a red face. Wife, let's drink cross-cupped wine. Yen Chuan said gently. Good wine was poured on the table beside them. The two of them held the wine, looked at each other affectionately, and drank. Wife, let's sleep. Yen Chuan stared at Mo Yushi's beautiful face and said. Mo Yushi nodded shyly. With a sense of happiness, Yen Chuan gently removed Mo Yushi's clothes. Wife, you're so beautiful. Yen Chuan said softly. Every second of the night was worth 1,000 gold. While Mo Yushi was bashful, the two of them formally performed the ceremony of husband and wife. After a night of traveling in the rain and staying in Dongting, the two young people both experienced the beauty of perfect harmony. It wasn't until late into the night that the two of them fell asleep with their fingers interlocked. 1 month later. At the entrance of the underworld. Father, Mother, my wife and I are going for an outing at the back of the mountain. We'll be fine. We'll be back by nightfall. Don't worry. Yen Chuan said to the two elders. Be careful on the road. Also, the few of you, protect young master and young madam. The two elders instructed the 4 household servants. Old master, madam, don't worry. The 4 household servants replied. Following that, Yen Chuan and Mo Yushi got on the carriage. The 4 household servants led the horses out of the city and towards the back of the mountain. At the city gate, the black-robed incubus appeared again and coldly looked at the departing carriage. A month of happiness is almost over. Next is the nightmare. Keek keek. The incubus sneered. 2 hours later, the group walked into a mountain forest. In the carriage, Yen Chuan and Mo Yushi leaned against each other as if they had endless words of love to say to each other. Their fingers interlocked, the two of them looked at the scenery outside the window. Husband, how good would it be if we could stay like this forever? Mo Yushi's eyes blurred as she softly said. We will, we definitely will. I'll definitely protect you for the rest of your life. Yen Chuan said softly. Stop. A household servant suddenly stopped the carriage. Shoo. The horse let out a long neigh. At the same time, the horse's hooves kept stomping as if it was afraid of something. Chapter 83. What's going on? Yen Chuan poked his head out. Young master, it's bad. We've encountered a pack of wolves. A household servant said in fear. Indeed, following the direction of the household servant's gaze, a pack of wolves came out from a small hill not far away. 5, 10, 15, 20 wolves. A total of 20 wolves. The wolves bared their fangs. Young master. A household servant's legs turned to jelly as he cried out. Run, quickly run. Yen Chuan said anxiously. In the dreamscape, Yen Chuan and Mo Yushi were mortals. Naturally, they did not have any earth-shattering abilities. Escort young master and young madam away. A household servant shouted. Jia! With a flick of the whip, the red horse immediately neighed and galloped. Woo! A pack of wolves howled. 20 wild wolves immediately howled as they rushed over. The big hunt had begun. Quick, quick! The household servant said in fear. Husband, why are there wolves here? Mo Yushi asked in fear. It's okay, I'm here. Yen Chuan's eyes also showed a hint of panic. Ah! A household servant's scream could be heard. Turning around, the household servant's neck had already been bitten by a pack of strong wolves. 2 or 3 wolves had stopped to eat. The remaining 17 wolves did not stop at all. They pounced even more ferociously. Run, run! The household servant said in fear. Boom! The carriage hit a big rock, and the carriage stopped immediately. After all, this was a mountain road. The road was rugged. How could the horses run recklessly? This was the territory of the wolves. Yen Chuan grabbed Mo Yushi and rushed out of the carriage. Young master, young madam, run, run! A household servant said in fear. Go up the mountain. Yen Chuan immediately decided. The 2 people and 3 servants ran quickly. However, the wolves did not slow down at all. They were getting closer and closer. Some wolves stayed behind to eat the horses, but some continued to chase after them. Ah! Another household servant was caught by a wild wolf and was quickly dismembered. Husband, how could this be? Mo Yushi was so scared that she started crying. Now is not the time to care about this. Let's go. Yen Chuan's eyes were filled with panic. The shadow of death shrouded the two of them as they quickly fled through the forest. His heart was filled with fear. The wolf's footsteps were getting closer and closer. Ah! Another household servant was devoured by the wolves. Woo-woo! The wild wolf howled and continued its pursuit. Ouch! Moushi twisted her ankle and fell down. With this twist, Moushi was unable to get up. Wife! Yan Chuan hugged Moushi and started running again. Husband, leave quickly. Don't worry about me. Moushi cried. You and I are husband and wife. How can I leave you alone? Yan Chuan ignored her. No, there are too many wild wolves. Put me down. Otherwise, you will die too, husband. Moushi cried. Husband, put me down. Woo-woo. Shut up. Yan Chuan suddenly shouted. In the dream, Yan Chuan's personality was gentle. However, in a desperate situation, his personality suddenly became overbearing. Woo! Moushi was frightened by Yan Chuan's shout. However, Moushi naturally understood Yan Chuan's meaning. Yan Chuan did not want to leave her behind. While being shouted at, Moushi's eyes were filled with tenderness. The pack of wolves chased after them. Behind the pack of wolves, the black-robed nightmare demon rode over. Husband and wife are birds of the same forest. When disaster strikes, they fly separately. Yan Chuan. You don't want to leave by yourself? You ruined the feast of fear and despair that I prepared for Moushi. Humph, I created the dream, so I make the decisions. It's still early. Pack of wolves, continue chasing. The nightmare demon said coldly. Chapter 84. Young master, there's a cave. Let's go in. The last household servant shouted. All right, let's go in. Yan Chuan carried Moushi and quickly entered the cave. The inside of the cave was twisted and turned. After a slight turn, they arrived at a large space within the cave. Yan Chuan quickly carried Moushi and placed her on a large rock. Woo! The wolf howled again. Go away, go away. The household servant at the entrance of the cave continuously threw rocks at the remaining 5 wolves. Husband, it looks like we're doomed this time. Moushi said in fear. We'll guard this cave. Father and mother will definitely send people to save us. Yan Chuan was abnormally calm at this moment. Ah! Another scream came from the entrance of the cave. The last household servant had died. Yan Chuan looked over and saw the last 5 wolves tearing and devouring the last household servant. The scene was extremely bloody. In the blink of an eye, the household servant was torn to pieces. Moushi seemed to have guessed it as well. Husband, hurry up and leave. The wolves are dividing the food. Hurry up and run from the side. Leave this place quickly. Moushi said with a pale face. Ridiculous. Run? What will you do if I run? Yan Chuan immediately shouted. Otherwise, it will be too late. I'll carry you out. If we're leaving, we'll leave together. I promised you. I will protect you for the rest of my life. Yan Chuan refused. No, carry me. No one will be able to escape. You have to run alone. You have to escape. Moushi said anxiously. You want me to leave? Yan Chuan stared into Moushi's eyes. Moushi looked at Yan Chuan affectionately. Finally, she nodded solemnly, as long as husband is fine. Looking at Moushi, Yan Chuan also showed a trace of sadness. In the end, he shook his head and said, even if I go out, I may not be able to escape. Moushi shook her head and said, there's still a chance. Husband, you should leave quickly. Quickly. Yan Chuan stared at Moushi and closed his eyes. Suddenly, he raised his head and took a deep breath. Then, he opened his eyes and stared at Moushi's sorrowful face. A rare smile appeared on his face. I, Yen Chuan, have a wife like this. What more can a husband ask for? Husband. Mou she pushed Yen Chuan. Yen Chuan shook his head lightly. With me here, no one will be able to hurt you. No one is allowed to. But, husband, it's going to be too late. Mou she said in despair. Yen Chuan's eyes flashed with determination. He hugged Mou she and kissed Mou she's cherry lips. He kissed her fiercely. This kiss caused Mou she's fear to subside slightly. Remember, you are my, Yen Chuan's woman. Live well. After I die, you will be my widow. Yen Chuan said domineeringly. As he spoke, he placed the dazed Mou she against the wall. He looked around the cave and found a sharp stone. Husband, what are you doing? Mou she looked at Yen Chuan in confusion. I said before that I will protect you for the rest of your life. The wolves are coming in. I will go out and kill them. Yen Chuan said fiercely. No, husband, you don't know martial arts. Don't go. You won't be able to kill them. Mou she said anxiously. Turning around, Yen Chuan looked at Mou she and smiled tragically. I, Yen Chuan, will not watch my woman die. Once the wolves are full, they will not attack people. If I go out, won't I be able to kill them? But at least we can feed them. Yen Chuan said with a tragic smile. After speaking, Yen Chuan walked out of the cave. I can't kill them, but at least I can feed them. I can't kill them, but at least I can feed them. Yen Chuan's words echoed in Mou she's mind. At this moment, Mou she was completely dumbfounded. Feed the wolves? Feed them with what? Feed them with herself? Mou she's heart felt like it was being squeezed. Her nose suddenly felt sour. No! Mou she cried. Chapter 85. Yen Chuan stepped out of the cave with a sharp stone in his hand. Outside the cave, the 5 wolves were devouring the last household servant. Yen Chuan's expression changed as he grabbed the stone stick. Far away, in the forest, the King of Nightmares kept chanting, "You don't know martial arts, you don't have the strength to truss a chicken, you're just a weak scholar. You don't know martial arts, you don't have the strength to truss a chicken, you're just a weak scholar. You don't know martial arts, you don't have the strength to truss a chicken, you're just a weak scholar." He chanted it over and over again. Yen Chuan, who was far away, was also affected by the Nightmare Lord's dream. I don't know martial arts. What should I do? I'm just a scholar, 5 wolves, 5 heads. Yen Chuan seemed to have received a hint and was slightly flustered. Husband, don't, husband. Mou she's cries came from the cave behind him. The flustered Yen Chuan heard his wife's cries and his expression froze. So what if I don't know martial arts, so what if I'm just a weak scholar? Even if I don't have the strength to truss a chicken, I'll still kill the wolves. Whoever dares to hurt my wife, I'll fight them to the death. Yen Chuan's expression became ferocious. Without waiting for the 5 wolves to come over, Yen Chuan took the lead and rushed forward. Die! Yen Chuan said with a ferocious expression. Chi! The sharp stone knife suddenly pierced through a wolf. The King of Nightmares looked at this scene and said in surprise, how can this be? How can he have such a strong will? In the dream I designed, you were gentle and weak, how can you be so fierce? In reality, what kind of person are you? Woo woo. The other 4 wolves stopped eating and looked at Yen Chuan. Come on. Come on. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Yen Chuan said fiercely. Woo woo. The 4 wolves roared. One of the wolves came and pounced on Yen Chuan. Boom! Yen Chuan was pushed to the ground. The stone saber in his hand was also thrown away. However, Yen Chuan hugged the wolf. With one bite, Yen Chuan viciously bit the wolf's throat. Puff! Yan Chuan fiercely bit the wolf's throat and it died with a whimper. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The other three beasts roared. It was as if they couldn't believe that a weak person could bite a wolf to death. The King of Nightmares anxiously formed hand seals. You don't have the guts, you're afraid of the wild wolves, you're afraid of the wild wolves, you're powerless to fight back. You have no guts, you are afraid of wild wolves, you are afraid of wild wolves, you are powerless to resist. You have no guts, you are afraid of wild wolves, you are afraid of wild wolves, you are powerless to resist. The King of Nightmares kept hypnotizing Yan Chuan with his dreams. He wanted Yan Chuan to accept this mentality. Rumble. Rumble. The three wolves rushed over together and bit Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan was hypnotized by the King of Nightmares, and he also felt a little timid. Don't come over, Yan Chuan said in fear. However, just as a wolf claw scratched Yan Chuan's arm, the bone-scraping pain once again aroused Yan Chuan's instinctive ferocity. Evil beast, you're courting death. Enduring the pain, he grabbed a stone on the ground and threw it at the head of one of the wolves. Perhaps it was instinctive, but Yan Chuan aimed at the wolf's vital point, the skull. Boom! The wolf suddenly felt dizzy. Roar! The other two wolves also started to bite Yan Chuan. His ferocity was aroused, and Yan Chuan became more and more bloodthirsty. Evil beast, you're courting death, death! Yan Chuan shouted fiercely. Rumble. Chapter 86. The weak Yan Chuan, at this moment, seemed to possess divine strength as he fought with the three wolves. Even though Yan Chuan's body was bleeding profusely and his wounds were increasing, he did not cry out in pain. There was only his ferocious nature that was constantly awakened. Rumble. The cave entrance was in a mess, smoke and dust flying everywhere. In the distance, the incubus continuously tried to hypnotize Yan Chuan, but the more he tried, the more ferocious Yan Chuan became. How can this be? The incubus looked at Yan Chuan in shock. I can't force him anymore. If I force him, he will break through the dream barrier and awaken. What kind of willpower is this? He's so domineering even in his dreams. What kind of person have I met? The incubus wanted to cry but had no tears. In the cave. Mo Yushi heard the sounds of battle outside the cave and knew that Yan Chuan was fighting with the wolves. But her legs were bruised and she could not move at all. Husband. Mo Yushi's tears flowed uncontrollably. Mo Yushi's heart felt like it was being torn apart. She prayed that Yan Chuan would be fine, but she knew that it was impossible. Her husband was just a weak scholar, but he was facing a pack of starving wolves. Was there a way out? Whing! With a final loud sound, the outside world suddenly became silent. There was no sound from the outside world. Mo Yushi froze, thinking that Yan Chuan had died. For her, he fed himself to the wolves. I definitely will. I will protect you for the rest of your life. With me around, no one will dare to hurt you. No one will. Remember, you are Yan Chuan's woman. Live well. After I die, you will be my widow. I, Yan Chuan, will not watch my woman die. When the wolves are full, they will not attack people. If I go out, won't I be able to kill them? But at least I can feed them. The short memory made Mo Yushi understand what it meant to be heartbroken. Husband, I will always be a member of the Yen family. Mo Yushi said in despair. After he finished speaking, he fell into a deep slumber due to mental and physical exhaustion. After an unknown period of time, Mo Yushi vaguely heard some voices. Young master, young madam, where are you? Young miss, young master, where are you? A faintly discernible voice came from afar. Mo Yushi suddenly remembered everything. She thought of the situation she was in and the fact that Yan Chuan had died for her. Her vision darkened and she almost fainted again. She forced herself not to collapse, but her face was already covered in tears. Miss, where are you? The voice from the outside world sounded again. Here. Yushi held back her tears and shouted. Over there, Mrs. Voice. Over there, quick, quick, quick. An urgent voice called out. Ah! Young master. Let's go in and take a look. When the servant and household servant rushed into the cave, they immediately saw Yushi. Miss, that's great. Miss, you're fine. The servant rushed over. Yushi revealed a bitter smile. Fine. Her husband was dead, how could she be fine? Miss, that's great. You and young master are still alive. That's great. The servant said excitedly. Young master. Husband is still alive? Yushi quivered. Yes, we were really shocked just now. Young master is injured all over, but he's still breathing. He's still alive. Young master is fine, you're fine too. That's great, that's great. The servant said. Husband is still alive? I want to see husband, I want to see husband. Yushi was so emotional that she danced with joy. Tears flowed from her eyes like water. Chapter 87. After the incident at the back of the mountain, the couple's relationship improved and they became even more affectionate. Outside the Yen Manor. The King of Nightmares' face twitched. I am the greatest King of Nightmares. I am the creator of nightmares. Is this a nightmare? This is a wet dream. Damn it, I will make you all despair. Humph. The King of Nightmares said gloomily. In the blink of an eye, several months passed. In the backyard of the Yen Manor. Yen Chuan was practicing calligraphy in the yard. Yushi was standing beside him with her big belly. Husband, your calligraphy is so beautiful. Yushi said gently. I don't know why, but my calligraphy has been getting better and better. It's like I was born with it. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Ah! Yushi frowned. What's wrong? Yen Chuan immediately went to help her. The little guy kicked me. Yushi touched her belly lovingly. Brat, how dare you kick your mother? When you come out, I'll definitely spank you. Yen Chuan said in all seriousness. You're so annoying. Yushi said with a smile. Haha, I am supporting you. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Husband, do you want a boy or a girl? Yushi asked expectantly. I want both. I like both. Yen Chuan said while touching Yushi's belly. Then, why don't you give the child a name? Yushi said. I have already thought of a name. It will be Dong En. Yen Dong En. Thanks to that cave, we wouldn't be here today and there wouldn't be a Dong En. Yen Chuan said gently. Yes, Yen Dong En. Yushi said gently. Miss, young master. Bad news. A maid hurriedly ran into the backyard. What's wrong? Yen Chuan frowned and looked at the maid. His Majesty passed away a month ago. Now, the crown prince has ascended to the throne. The maid said in a panic. Crown prince? Yushi was confused. Miss, have you forgotten? Before you and the son-in-law got married, you met the crown prince at a poetry gathering. When the crown prince saw the young miss, he was stunned by her beauty and swore an oath to marry her. At that time, the court objected, but the young miss didn't take it seriously. However, the crown prince didn't forget. Furthermore, he's now the emperor. So what? I am now a member of the Yen family. What else can he do? Yushi was puzzled. Yes, the new emperor has already sent someone to meet your parents. I came here secretly. His Majesty hasn't given up yet. It seems. The maid said anxiously. Like what? Yushi started to panic. It seems like they want to take the young miss back. The maid said. Ah, Mo Yushi's expression changed. Bastard! Yan Chuan slammed his palm on the stone table. Miss, I'm just here to report. I'll go back first. The maid quickly left. Husband. Mo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan. Don't worry. No one can break us apart. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. But, he's the emperor. Who can be more powerful than him in the great dream country? Mo Yushi said sadly. So what if he's the emperor? No one can. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Mo Yushi nodded. After thinking for a while, a cold glint flashed across her eyes. Husband, the Mo family is a merchant of medicinal herbs. Actually, the Mo family also has a treasure. If there's really no way out, we'll fight to the death. We'll get rid of the emperor first. Treasure? Yan Chuan looked at Mo Yushi doubtfully. It's passed down from my ancestors. I think it's a poisonous spiritual herb that my ancestors dug up in the deep mountains. It's called Ghost City Grass. Mo Yushi thought for a while and said. Chapter 88. Ghost City Grass. The so-called Ghost City Grass is when it is ignited in a city. The poisonous smoke formed can quickly kill the people in the city, turning the city into a ghost city. So powerful? Yan Chuan was surprised. When the time comes, as long as it is ignited within 10 miles of the new emperor, I guarantee that he will die. Mo Yushi's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. We can try, let me see. Yan Chuan was instantly interested. Okay, I will send someone to get it immediately. Mo Yushi said immediately. 4 hours later, in Yan Chuan's room. Husband, it is in this jade box. Mo Yushi said. In the jade box, there was a bunch of palm-sized purple grass. Ghost City Grass, extremely poisonous. Mo Yushi looked at the grass in the box with satisfaction. Yan Chuan, on the other hand, looked at his left wrist. On his left wrist, there was a seed-like birthmark. It was not a big deal as a birthmark, but this birthmark was flashing with green light. It was flashing and it was extremely strange. Why is it like this? Yan Chuan looked at the birthmark with a complicated expression. Flashing? Why is it flashing? Isn't this a birthmark? Yan Chuan stared at the birthmark and kept thinking. He seemed to be in a daze. Husband? Mo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan strangely. Yan Chuan waved his hand, indicating that Mo Yushi should not disturb him. Mo Yushi obediently stopped talking. Yan Chuan kept thinking, as if he was about to think, but there was always a layer of fog. What is it? I think I have some impression, but why can't I remember? Yan Chuan frowned and thought hard. He pondered for an entire 2 hours. Mo Yushi waited patiently. Poison ivy. Yan Chuan abruptly raised his head, his eyes shining brightly. Boom! A large amount of memories rushed into Yan Chuan's mind. Memories, more and more memories. Yan Chuan's face gradually relaxed. The light in his eyes grew brighter and brighter. On the other hand, Mo Yushi waited worriedly by the side. Seeing Yan Chuan's expression, Mo Yushi immediately revealed a worried expression. She wanted to call out to Yan Chuan several times to ask what was wrong, but she was also an extremely intelligent person, so she restrained her curiosity. Yan Chuan continued to recall everything. Poison ivy? Ha ha ha. Yan Chuan suddenly burst into laughter. He let out a long sigh, as if his entire body had become much more comfortable. The king of nightmares found me. Dream? What a dream realm. Yan Chuan said with a solemn expression. Husband, what's wrong? Mo Yushi finally couldn't hold it in any longer. Turning his head, Yan Chuan looked at Mo Yushi with a serious expression. Husband, why are you looking at me like that? Mo Yushi was frightened. Seeing Mo Yushi's fear, Yan Chuan's expression also eased. Thinking about his current identity, he revealed a bitter smile. Saintess Yushi. Yen Chuan called out tentatively. Husband, what did you say? Don't scare me. Mo Yushi said worriedly. Looking at the frightened Mo Yushi, Yen Chuan's expression was complicated. After thinking for a while, he decided not to awaken Mo Yushi's memories. Don't worry, I'm here, nothing will happen. Big Dream Emperor. He's nothing, we can definitely get through this. Moreover, since I'm awake, then I'll capture the King of Nightmares. Yen Chuan said with certainty. Husband, what did you say? Why can't I understand? Mo Yushi asked curiously. You don't need to understand, just leave everything to me. Yen Chuan comforted her. Okay. Mo Yushi gently leaned into Yen Chuan's embrace. Yen Chuan hugged Mo Yushi with a complicated expression. Although it was just a dream, and everything would be treated as if nothing had happened after waking up, this memory might never be erased. A few months of being husband and wife left a deeper impression than many vows of eternal love. Yen Chuan could wake Mo Yushi up in a dream, but what about after waking her up? How would the two of them interact? Once the King of Nightmares discovered something unusual and gave himself away, it would be difficult to capture the King of Nightmares. Therefore, Yen Chuan kept it a secret for the time being. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.